Be cool, be kind, be classy. The cupcakes so sweet and sexy. Have fun, enjoy the journey. Or just have a good attorney. No big whoop, no biggie. She lives near New York City. And not just a YouTube show. When you know, you better grab a straw. Learn about the law. It's cool here in the shade. Sipping motions of lemonade. Cool heads will prevail. Kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Oh, Melanie Little is going live. Oh no, where is Melanie? Follow the island's melody. Is a concert within reach. No surprise, she's at Jones Beach. She heard some music far away. Captain Jack Sack Harbor Bay. He sings and his piano plays. Not all sounds are waterways. Speaking Yiddish and Latin, it's not just for Manhattan. It's for Proctor and Michigas. Ridiculous that insanus. Oy vey, Marcus. Procer, that's for schmucks. Be cool, be kind, be classy. My cupcakes sweet and sassy. And not just a YouTube show. When you know. Cool heads will prevail. Kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Melanie Little is going live.
It's a two-a-day. It's a two-a-day Monday. It's a Monday two-a-day. It's a manic Monday. It really is a manic Monday. I've got the IA report on Sean Goode. We're going to read it because, of course, that popped off today, too. Meredith O'Neill, former girlfriend of Aidan Carney, has caught some felony wiretapping charges for recording Aidan and apparently altering her metadata to say that she was in Rhode Island when she did it. That's in Leominster District Court. That was filed today. And she's got an arraignment scheduled for a date that I already forgot because there's so many things that have popped off since just an hour ago when we finished our last live stream. I think it's in August. Meredith O'Neill's arraignment on the felony wiretapping charges. Interesting. Sean Goode's Internal Affairs Investigative Report is out. We're going to read it. This show was supposed to be about Brian Tully's motion to quash, which we're going to get to also. And there's an order was issued in the Karen Reed case in which apparently there was a leak of Michael Proctor's private information that was impounded. I don't know who leaked it. I don't know what it is because we didn't report on it. So I have no idea. But Judge Gildea called an emergency hearing in person for Wednesday. In person for every single attorney who has filed a notice of appearance in the O'Keefe versus Reed case. There's like 25 of them. They all got to show up on Wednesday for an in-person hearing, and all of them have to swear that they didn't leak the information regarding Proctor because the judge wants to know who did it. It's at 3 p.m. That means Alan Jackson's going to have to get on the red eye and get here for 3 p.m. on Wednesday. It's wild. Things are popping off like crazy. And today's badass affirmation, because we pulled it earlier, for those of you who didn't hear it, I am an effing masterpiece. That's for you. I'm an effing masterpiece. Because you just can't make this stuff up. I don't know what it was of Michael Proctor's that was released, that was unimpounded, or who got the information, maybe about where he was or what he's doing or why he can't show up. Who leaked it? I don't know. So I don't know. But yeah, this is going to be a fun one. It's going to be a fun one, Marley. If you missed the one earlier today, it was on the first hearing for the new Alec Murdaugh trial. We watched that this morning. We talked about it. And now there's just everything. Just everything is happening. So I'm glad you're here with me for it. The quote of the day, where did I put it? The motivational quote of the day. That was the badass affirmation from Monday, June 29th, in case you missed it. Jonathan Harnish said, "The strongest people are not those who show strength in front of the world, but those who fight and win battles that others do not know anything about." Dun, dun, dun. No, it had nothing to do with the panic attack. I can see you, Megan. I fixed you. You're all good. You're all good. Had nothing to do with the panic attack because it has to do with, let's cover that first, since everyone's asking. Let's cover that first. All right, so this just popped off. Like moments ago, while I was on the last stream, okay? This is Judge Gildea's new order in the wrongful death case of the O'Keefes versus Karen Reed, the Waterfall, and C.F. McCarthy's. Here it is. Got to get my highlighter ready because we have so much to cover. We're going to be here for hours. Oh, I'm going to tell you one other thing so that nobody has to come in the chat and distract. Defense Diaries is doing an interview with Sean Ellis, the subject of the Trial 4 on Netflix that Rosemary Scapicchio took 18 years to, I guess, exonerate. He's going to be on Defense Diaries today at 5 p.m. Eastern. I'm not going to feel bad if you go over there and watch it. I urge you to go over there and watch it or to watch it on replay. I don't plan my schedule around anybody else's live streams, and I would never, ever expect anybody else to plan their live streams around mine. I would never expect that. However, that said, I did not know this was happening at 5 o'clock when I scheduled this for 4:30. So if you would like to go watch the live interview with Sean Ellis over on Defense Diaries at 5 p.m. by all means, go do it. Maybe I guess it's live so you can ask questions. I haven't watched it yet. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. I just don't have the freaking time. Okay. So if you want to go watch it, you can go quietly. This is not an airport. You do not need to announce your departure. And I will not be mad at you. If you want to go watch it live at 5 o'clock, go watch it live. That said, there's no need to direct other people over there and distract from the chat when people want to watch what I've got to say. I wouldn't expect anybody to reschedule their lives around mine and vice versa. However, this is 4 p.m. 4:30 p.m. that I scheduled this, and that's all I'm going to say. Okay. Thank you so very much. Okay. Again, like this. I'm probably going to, but I won't announce it. Okay. Like again, there are some times where you can just keep your mouth shut and keep your things think before you type. That's all. That's all. If you want to go do it, just go do it. And I encourage you to do it. Okay. I'm encouraging you to go over there and watch it at 5 o'clock. That said, let's just keep the chat on topic. Okay. Here's the recent order from Judge Gildea from just today. This is an order relative to the order of impoundment, which was the endorsement on paper number 112. Okay. Paper number 112 was Michael Proctor's excuse for why he could not come to a deposition. Remember, during that hearing, there was a hearing, I think it was on Zoom. Michael Proctor's attorney appeared on Zoom. And it was on Zoom, right, Zoe? Zoe? It was on Zoom. And he said, listen, we don't want to file the reason why Michael Proctor can't make it because last time we filed something, it was released right away. And there was a whole hullabaloo about things getting leaked to the media. And he's blaming Karen Reed's team for leaking things and stuff, as I recall. And so they wanted to have the reasons that Michael Proctor could not appear impounded. And the court said, yes, we can impound it. Well, here's what had happened. Here's what Judge Gildea said today. I have been advised of information that allows for a reasonable inference of a violation of an order of impoundment issued by me. It is hereby ordered that, number one, each plaintiff and defendant and each counsel with a notice of appearance in this matter as of June 8th of 2026 shall file with the clerk on or before 4:30 p.m. on Tuesday, that's tomorrow, June 30th, 2026, a certification under the pains and penalties of perjury as to all facts known to them as to any dissemination to anyone other than parties and counsel in this matter of any of the contents of the material impounded by order issued on June 8th, 2026, order of impoundment. 2, an in-person hearing is scheduled for Wednesday, July 1st, 2026 at 3 p.m. That's this Wednesday. All counsel with a notice of appearance shall attend. They got to get there. including Alan Jackson, BB Fell, who I think is also from California, and anybody else from out of state that's been admitted pro hoc in this case. Okay. Including Tuxbury. No, Tuxbury's not in this case. But wait a second. He has filed a notice of appearance, right? And Chris Maddie, he's in Connecticut because they represent Proctor. But it says each plaintiff and defendant and each counsel with a notice of appearance. So that doesn't have to just be parties. So that means all of the O'Keefes. No, Colin Albert is not a plaintiff here. Here's the plaintiffs. Paul O'Keefe, John O'Keefe, Sr., Peggy O'Keefe, and Kaylee Furbush. Those are the plaintiffs. They all have to show up. McCarthy's, The Waterfall, and Karen Reed, they all have to show up, in addition to every single lawyer that's filed a notice of appearance on behalf of one of those plaintiffs, one of those defendants, or anyone else. Because other attorneys that have filed notices of appearance would have access potentially to an impounded document. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're an attorney of record in a case, do you have the ability to look at impounded orders, even if you're like Tully's attorney and he's a non-party? I think so. Right? All counsel with a notice of appearance shall attend. That is everybody. 3, all further attempts to take discovery from the party whose information was the subject of the order of impoundment, that's Proctor, is precluded pending further orders of this court. XOXO, Judge Gildea, June 29th, 2026. This just came out. In order to see what this is about with a little more detail, we can go to the docket and take a look at what it says in the public docket with regard to docket paper number 112. So hold on, because we like receipts here. We like receipts. I don't know what was leaked because I'm not privy to it. So I don't know. Have you guys seen anything floating around on the internet? Let's go here. Let's pull this down. So it's every single attorney who's ever filed a notice of appearance representing any. Oh, there's my Moulin Rouge background, because when I was in London over the past 5 days, we did go see Moulin Rouge in the London Theatre District, and it was amazing. It was amazing. All right, let's take a look. And here's the public docket on the wrongful death case. In the case of Paul O'Keefe versus Karen Reed et al. It's just some of the attorneys that have filed a notice of appearance. Christina Brilhante of Diller Law, Daniel Buck of Diller Law. We've seen Mr. Buck recently show up for conferences, and I really like him a lot. And I think that was a very strategic and smart decision on behalf of Mark Diller to not appear himself anymore, because he was getting lambasted by social media and his attitude and his own attitude, self-inflicted maybe. Mark Diller, BB Fell, who is in San Diego, California. Marley Horowitz, also in San Diego, California. She's part of the same law firm as Fell Law, which BB Fell is. And it looks like this is, oops. All the plaintiffs have the same attorneys, so we'll just move to the defendants. If anybody's keeping count, Zoe, let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 plaintiffs' attorneys. And then coming in for McCarthy's, we have Alexandra Beaton from Boston, Tamara Holstag, also from Boston. This is all Peabody and Arnold. Lincoln Rose, Peabody and Arnold. Kristen St. George, Peabody and Arnold. That's 5 more. These are the same attorneys for the other corporate entity. And on behalf of the Waterfall Bar and Grill, we have a couple more attorneys. We have John Dealey, Worcester, John Donovan of Boston, David Hassett of Boston, Casey McCaffrey of Worcester. That's another 4. How many are we up to now? Somebody keep count. Then for Karen Reed, we have Michael William Bell of Burlington, Mass, Alan Jackson, and Elizabeth Little. Pro Hoc Vice doesn't have their address, but we know they're in California. Arthur Maravellis of Burlington, Mass. That's 4. Caleb Mason, Los Angeles. That's 5. They all got to come in. Elizabeth Little, Caleb Mason, Alan Jackson, Aaron Rosenberg of Boston, Damon Seligson of Boston. That's 7. Sarah Ann Shipley, Burlington. That's 8. Burlington, Mass. Thomas Tang, Burlington. That's 9. Charles Waters, Boston. That's 10. How many lawyers are we up to so far? At least 20? 25? Okay. Plus all the plaintiffs, Karen Reed, and the defendants, 24. Zoe says 24. And then, but wait, there's more. Same attorneys for Bill Reed, same attorneys for Janet Reed. They represent them all. Damon Seligson and Aaron Rosenberg for Bill and Janet Reed. Laura McLaughlin is an interested party in this case from the Norfolk DA's office. Jason Crotty is the attorney for Michael Proctor. Okay, so he's going to have to come in. I'll move this over here. I know it's small, but I'm going to try and enlarge it a little bit. Jason Crotty. Then there's a Tom DeGangi also for Michael Proctor. Matthew Hamill for Michael Proctor. He's got 3 attorneys. Then Sean Goode is also an interested party. Jennifer Smith of Boston represents Sean Goode. And then, oh, there's more. No, that's it. Oh, the town of Canton attorney needs to come in. His name is David Koroyan of Pembroke, Mass. Then you've got the MSP attorneys, Jeffrey Collins of Boston. He's going to have to come in. Colin Albert's attorney, James Tuxbury. He's going to have to get in there. They all have to show up in person. In person. Brian Tully, his attorney is going to have to come in. His name is Timothy Michael Burke. They all have to show up at 3 o'clock this Wednesday, which is not even in the calendar yet, but we just read the order. This means that someone has been leaking impounded materials. However, let's go take a look because it has to do with paper number 112. So let's go to the docket entries for paper 112. You'll see how I fall into rabbit holes in real time. Here's the docket. This lists every single filing. This is public. You can look at it too. This is public. The docket, August 29th, 2026. This is the order that we just read. Each plaintiff and each defendant and each counsel with a notice of appearance in this matter as of June 8th needs to appear in person and needs to file something before 4:30 p.m. tomorrow. Let me get out of here and move out of your way. Okay. And what it has to do with is paper number 112. So let's go to paper number 112. Oops. It's a very sensitive touchscreen that I have. I can't do anything about the font size on here except try and enlarge it. All right, paper 112. Okay, here's paper 112. This was an order on a motion for a protective order from non-party Michael Proctor. Remember they had the hearing at 4:15 p.m.? They had one hearing in the morning And then they scheduled another one for 4:15 p.m. And the judge said, I don't care about Michael Proctor's excuses. Whoever signed this affidavit doesn't even know, doesn't have the authority to sign it. They don't have the proper CV. They don't have the proper qualifications to, and I don't believe it. So he needs to show up tomorrow. Well, that same day, he also entered a protective order, which is paper number 112. Which I just had in front of me, but maybe paper number 112 is not even. Here's 112. All right, so 112 goes over here. There's no image of it in the court file, so you can't access it. But it was Michael Proctor's motion to impound the affidavits and supporting materials. That was paper number 112. And then here was the endorsement on that motion, means the judge wrote something on the physical motion itself, and here's what he wrote. Again, that there's no image of it in the court docket, so nobody can access it unless you're an attorney of record in the case. And here's what it says. On the motion to impound affidavits and supporting materials, other action taken. After hearing and having balanced the rights of the parties and the non-party deponent based on the particular facts of this case and taking into account all relevant factors, including but not limited to the nature of the parties and the controversy, the type of information and the privacy interests involved, the extent of community interest, and the reason for the request, I find good cause to impound and so order the impoundment of, for a period of 30 years. He impounded this for 30 years. The affidavits attached to this motion. I recognize the fear of unjustified adverse publicity. It is not sufficient to constitute good cause. George W. Prescott Publication Company versus Register of Probate for Norfolk County. However, a legitimate expectation of privacy ordinarily is sufficient to constitute good cause. And he cites another case, H.S. Gear and Sons, Massachusetts case of 1987. So he has impounded the affidavits attached to this motion about why Proctor, it says 30 years. I mean, I'm looking at it right here. I don't know what brother counsel said. I didn't watch him. I am reading it to you. The receipt is on the screen. It says 30 years. Am I reading that wrong? Simple deduction and logic, according to Zoe, is psychiatric medical records. That's what logic states, right? But apparently somebody got a hold of it and leaked it. And everyone needs to show up and talk about, so the judge can get to the try and figure out to get to the bottom of who did it, who leaked it, who got it, where they got it from. Somebody says, I think it was leaked to blame Reed's team. I mean, that's what Sweet Southern Honey says. I haven't seen it, so I don't know what they're talking about, but I also do not engage on the cesspool of Twitter, so maybe it's out there and I just don't know. All right, people are saying brother counsel said 30 days. I'm reading it from the docket itself, and it says 30 years as far as I can see right here. Maybe he, misspoke because he couldn't imagine that something could be sealed for 30 years. But the issue is also paper number 112 is not, we can't access it. Nobody can access it. And all we can read from is the court docket. And this was not filed as an order in and of itself. Okay. Just so that we remember. This was the judge's order regarding the motion for the protective order. So let's go here. And he filed this on June 8th. And that's why he wants every attorney who was an attorney in this case on June 8th to appear. This was the judge's order on June 8th. Remember, this was widely quoted. These are the judge's words. I am now reading this in the words of Judge Gildea. For this case to proceed efficiently and for our system of justice to work, certain basic things have to happen. A subpoena needs to mean something. A lawyer's agreement needs to have meaning. Lawyers need to communicate with their clients. Clients need to keep their attorneys informed. When given an opportunity to provide support for a party's request, that party needs to avail themselves of the opportunity. Based on the record before me, there is insufficient evidence, insufficient information to support a delay in the deposition going forward. And this was Michael Proctor's deposition. However, given the claims made in the filings over the weekend, I will delay making a final decision on the motion until 4 p.m. today to give Mr. Proctor's counsel the opportunity to supplement the record before me. The subpoena requiring Mr. Proctor to appear for a deposition today is stayed for 24 hours. Further hearing will be held today at 4:15 p.m. by Zoom, remember? And then he came back at 4:15 and he said, I don't buy what Michael Proctor is selling. And he needs to come in for a deposition tomorrow. And then Damon Seligson was like, Your Honor, yeah, no, we're not going to be available tomorrow. And I was screaming. I was like, what, are you kidding me? How many days did you have set aside for his deposition? They couldn't have only had 1 day set aside for his deposition. I don't know if Alan Jackson went and got on a plane or what, but we knew he was in town to do that specifically. And then they won in the end after a whole day was burned and they didn't do it. They did it apparently at some point last week. I don't even remember what day it was. Maybe it was Wednesday or Tuesday. So it has nothing to do with somebody saying that he might have had a panic attack, because that wasn't anything that was impounded in this case. Don't believe everything you read on the internet. The order goes on to say, I followed up with Attorney Seligson with his reference to strategically preparing for the deposition because I read in the media of an appearance on the Today Show Friday morning where Ms. Reed said filing her new civil lawsuit was always a part of a plan that she had. Why is the judge watching media on this case? And who reported to the judge? Somebody, I'm sure Corey Hopkins is furiously typing up a FOIA request right now. Who reported to the judge that this impounded material had been leaked? I would love to know that. But the judge is reading all the media on this case. Judge, if you're watching, hey, what's up? We love you. Love you, Judge Gildea. Beside her were attorneys Alan Jackson and Charles Waters, who cast the case as a bid to expose institutional corruption in Massachusetts law enforcement and to hold someone accountable for the death of her boyfriend, Officer John O'Keefe. Well, that's true, except she wasn't talking about this case, Your Honor. She was talking about the defamation case and the civil federal case that is not part of your docket. Okay? The case of Karen Reed versus everybody is a case that is not on your docket. The case of Karen Reed versus the Massachusetts State Police and the Canton PD is also not part of your docket. The only cases part of your docket, Your Honor, are the cases in which Karen Reed is the defendant. So now we're getting the cases confused, and I don't know that that's a good thing. Karen Reed did not bring the lawsuit that's in front of you, Your Honor. She's a defendant in this one and the defamation case, and she has a right to defend herself. He then goes on to say, although there is no duty for Ms. Reed's counsel to have informed Mr. Proctor's counsel of the intent to file the most recently filed Bristol court action, and he's right, there is none, I think it's unreasonable to have not done so with a scheduled deposition pending and then to have filed such action 4 days before the scheduled deposition. Respectfully, Your Honor, I know you're far more experienced than I am, and you actually have a judicial robe and all. But it is not unreasonable for her not to have told Proctor about her filing a lawsuit against him 4 days before his deposition. It's none of his business. He gets served when he gets served. She doesn't owe him the courtesy of anything, because how many courtesies did he give her? Exactly none. And in fact, I would argue the complete opposite. Do you think this man deserves courtesies after what he did to Karen Reed and the things that he said about her and the things that he said about everyone else? He's an equal opportunity bigot, Your Honor, a virulent racist, a misogynist, an anti-Semite, he's homophobic. Did you see how he just tosses the N-word around and talks about strapping some guy to his bumper and dragging him down the streets of Randolph? This man deserves exactly zero courtesies. So the fact that this is part of the court record is wild to me. Real sorry that you had a panic attack, allegedly, maybe in the middle of your deposition, but I can totally understand why. And that's not the part that was leaked that the judge is pissed about, but he's going to spank them by making every single attorney fly in from everywhere to come to this hearing at 3:00 on Wednesday, because apparently he's got no other cases on his docket. I have never seen anything like this, where a judge is just calling people in the next day, 2 days later from, 5 hours away by plane because he's having a fit. He's having a snit fit. This is a civil wrongful death case. This is a garden variety, if you believe what the O'Keefes are saying, hit and run motor vehicle accident. But it's not, because we know John O'Keefe wasn't hit by a car, and a car did not hit John O'Keefe. And who's pandering to the media now? Who's pandering to the media now? The actions by counsel, Mr. Proctor's counsel, seeking to continue the deposition at the last moment, and Ms. Reed's counsel filing its new action 4 days before a scheduled deposition with an obviously planned appearance on national television, brought to mind comment 4, Rule 3.5 of the Massachusetts Rules of Professional Conduct, wherein it is stated, but wait a second, just hear me out for a second. The lawsuit that Karen Reed filed against Michael Proctor was part of the Karen Reed versus everybody case, right? Which was removed to federal court, which was filed a really, really long time ago. Okay. The civil action that was just filed was against the Massachusetts State Police and the town of Canton. Okay. Proctor is not a defendant in that case, and she didn't owe him squeeta when it comes to notifying him of the filing. Am I wrong? Everyone knew that lawsuit was coming because they had to wait for the end of the presentment period. And so they had to wait 6 months. And so that lawsuit that was just filed, Proctor is not even a defendant. He's already a defendant in a case that she brought that has been removed to federal court. And he's got representation there. So why did this give him a panic attack? This case has nothing to do with him, except for he was employed at the time by the Massachusetts State Police. And the claims against the MSP are for negligent hiring, etc., hiring, supervision, and retention, in addition to other civil rights violations of Proctor. And yeah, some of his text messages were leaked in that filing, but he's not a defendant in that filing. And he knew eventually that his text messages were going to come out because he's seen them. That's the whole reason that his union attorney dropped him like a hot potato, and he withdrew his bid in front of the Post Commission to get his job back after at least one full day hearing. Okay, so this does not involve him, aside from the fact that maybe he's even more embarrassed that now his virulent bigotry, racism, hatred of Black people, and calling them the N-word and just casually speaking of them as it, and talking about fantasizing about killing them, and raping women without their consent, and doing things to them while they're asleep, and trying to get them hammered so that he can have his way with them, and sharing nudes with Sean Goode like their family, and it's no big deal. Maybe he's a little embarrassed, and to that I say, good. And the fact that he's been throwing around karma and fantasizing about putting Aiden Carney in jail, we looked at those text messages last night. So they didn't owe him that. They owe him nothing. A lot of people think that man should be sitting in a jail cell. But again, who's pandering to the media now? The actions by counsel, Mr. Proctor's counsel, seeking to continue the deposition at the last moment, and Ms. Reed's counsel's filing in its new action 4 days. Ms. Reed's counsel filing its new action 4 days before a scheduled deposition with an obviously planned appearance on national television. How do you know it's obviously planned? How do you know that wasn't a last minute appearance on whatever the Today Show? And it was terrible, by the way. It was a terrible interview. It was embarrassing. These things are not always planned. When they call you to come on court TV, they call you or send you a message at 4 p.m. Hey, can you be here at 9? Can you be on at 9 o'clock? Yeah, they had to fly him in for that, but that doesn't mean it wasn't just like a last minute 24-hour thing. So obviously planned appearance, that's not how it goes. News Nation wants you to come on, wants me to come on, wants Bettero to come on. It's like they're texting you at 6 p.m. Can you come on at 8? It's not like that. That's not the way breaking news works, but Okay, who's pandering to the media now? And then he says this, after he says, obviously planned appearance on national television. It brought to mind comment 4 to Rule 3.5 of the Massachusetts Rules of Professional Conduct, wherein it's stated. Oh, so now he's throwing around ethical violations against not only Proctor's counsel, but the defense team. This is interesting because we read this order on June 8th and I had a totally different opinion. Okay, now we're going back and looking at it again, and now I'm pissed. And here's the rule that he cites, the ethical rule. Quote, an advocate can present the cause, protect the record for subsequent review, and preserve professional integrity by patient firmness, no less effectively than by ... theatrics. Okay. Who's being theatrical now? Who's being theatrical now? As St. Mary's University School of Law assistant professor David Granardo noted years ago at a conference on professional responsibility, quote, civility in the legal profession is generally defined as treating others, opposing counsel, the court, clients, and others with courtesy, dignity, and kindness, end quote. XOXO, Judge Mark Gildea. And again, we read this on June 8th, and I was like, oh, it's a little harsh, but, no big deal. And now, in retrospect, after what he just did, forcing them all to fly in because of this alleged leak of Proctor's motion, or I guess the affidavits that were attached to it, which I don't even know what they're talking about because I haven't seen it and I don't know. But based on the shenanigans that were pulled by the Commonwealth in the persecution twice of Karen Reed, and we now find out that there was a witness by the name of James Sullivan who met with Adam Lally, Laura McLaughlin, and Tully to prep for his testimony in trial number 1. Michael Proctor wrote a witness statement that said that James Sullivan said that he saw Karen Reed at CF McCarthy's and she was toasted. And we talked about this last night. Sully is now burning the house down. He's burning down the house because he says he went and got prepped by by McLaughlin, Lally, and Tully. And he said, I never said that to Proctor. I never said she was toasted. And they were just like, okay, cool. And they did not call him to testify, even though they opened. Adam Lally opened. You're going to hear from a guy named James Sullivan who saw Karen Reed and John O'Keefe at CF McCarthy's. They didn't call him, and they didn't tell the defense that he denied making that statement to Proctor. And that's exculpatory, and it's a Brady violation. And boy, the house of cards is coming crumbling down. And I'm here for it. And Sully's going to burn the house down, and I'm here for every minute of that too. If you want a more extensive discussion on that, you can look at last night's stream. Oh, please. So I really have no idea what was leaked. I don't know if any of you do, or allegedly leaked, but I wonder if he's going to let a camera in the courtroom on Wednesday at 3 p.m. because everyone has to be there in person, right? Yes, and they told Sullivan he was sequestered, so he couldn't even get a copy of his witness statement. He didn't even get one until like October of 2025 after the second trial, and that's when he knew the jig was up. I don't know. It hasn't leaked very well if we haven't found it or if we haven't seen it. So I don't know who told the judge that it was leaked, or is the judge doing his own research on social media? Because apparently from this alone, we know that he's doing his own due diligence or research on social media. And so there's that. BC says full docket today, cupcakes. Trailblazers, right. Thanks for your 10. Holly Johnson, thanks for your 10. The kennel video placed Alec Murdoch at the kennels despite his initial denials. Within about 5 minutes, both Paul and Maggie's phones went silent forever. This is a response from your earlier podcast. Thank you. Thank you very much, Holly. We were talking about, okay, that was totally, people are like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I can't explain it. I don't have time to explain it right now. Thank you for gifting a membership. Witterbird, I appreciate you. Kat Randall says, I sent you some 90% full strawberry moon from my recovery room, Georgetown Medical in DC. Oh, I hope you're recovering. It looks like a fire. The strawberry moon. Thank you for your pictures of strawberry moon. Fire horse, I'll try to get tonight at 8 p.m. Thank you, Kat Randall, for sending me pictures of the full moons. I love it so much. Robin St. Rockin says, so happy to catch you live. I do all the tickets. Just saw Rod Stewart, one of my besties, 40th anniversary of seeing Rod in 1986 was freaking incredible. Make the memories. Yeah, buy the tickets. Buy the tickets. Buy them all. Thanks, Robin, for your 10. G. Lander says, my first thought, someone on Proctor's side could have strategically leaked his information to enhance his state of victimhood. Right. Because now, even though they've deposed him for not even a full day, because I think they did it something like between 2.5 hours late, 2 to 2.5 hours late they started, and he needed to be out or something by 5 or something. And they needed a second day for his deposition. All of that is on hold right now, pending the resolution of whatever happens on Wednesday at the in-person hearing. So that's interesting. I'm sure that a lot of people are thinking that. Mama Zone, Melanie, did you see that Judge Gildea has called an emergency meeting of all the attorneys over Proctor's deposition? Was just filed today. Yes, we just covered it. Thank you very much for your 5. Wait, what? True Crime says, why is it so hard to get these people deposed? It needs to mean something. Thanks for all your insights, Melanie. Thank you for your 5. Cat Q says, Proctor's team leaked it to blame it on Karen. You're not the first person in the chat to say that today, in your opinion. Thank you for tuning in for 7 months. Starbright says, do you think this is some ploy to say Proctor? What does it mean by precluding discovery? It means he can't come, he won't have to sit for the second part of his deposition or middle part or whatever part of his deposition it's going to be until this is resolved. And the judge is tossing around ethical violations like it's popcorn. Paisley Chicken says, I suspect another ploy to delay his deposition. I have not seen nor read or heard of anything. Thank you for your 5. Lena says, dumb question. Could Proctor be leaking info himself to make it seem like the other side to get out of his deposition? Feels like planting evidence, not accusing, but wouldn't put anything past him. I still don't even know what it is, Lena. I still don't know what it is. But whatever was impounded, here's what it was. It was an affidavit from somebody. And it was like remember, it was like a team thing. I remember that the word team was used in it. It was like a team of people that signed an affidavit saying why Proctor couldn't be there. And whatever it was, and with whatever reasons they gave, the judge said it wasn't good enough. And he said, it's not good enough. He still has to come in for a deposition tomorrow. So whatever was in that affidavit is what was leaked, whatever his condition is or something. No, KLM says, somebody posted text between Proctor and Yuri. I wonder if that's it. No, because that wouldn't have been his private medical information. That was part of Turtle Boy's motion, by the way. That was like those text messages were part of Turtle Boy's motion. That has nothing to do with the reason that Proctor can't show up for his deposition, whether it was a medical reason or, whether he's in witness protection, whatever it was, the judge was like, yeah, not good enough. Be here tomorrow. So I don't know. Thank you for your super sticker. Babe's Mom 1. Bianch 414 says, in my opinion, this is more effery by the Haas defendants. Thank you very much for being here for 16 months. And Witterbird 84 says, fulfill their responsibilities as foreign in Canton. Thanks for being here for 3 months. Vicky Watkins says, I think they will blame Reed's lawyer as well. Everyone's going to have to come in and come on the hot seat, apparently. I don't know if he's going to call them up one by one and swear them in and take testimony. This is wild. This is like, what was her name in the Alec Baldwin trial? Carrie Morrissey putting herself on the stand and testifying in narrative fashion about what she did with that evidence that somebody brought into the police station. It's wild. Sarah, be creative. I love you with all my heart too. Thanks for being here for 23 months. Victor Man says, interesting. I had Grok search X for such a leak about Proctor and nothing appears. Maybe could it be on Facebook? Listen, not the majority of people who followed this case are not on Twitter. They're on Facebook, I think. There's lots of Facebook groups with tens of thousands of people in it. So I don't know. I don't do Facebook, so I'm not part of any of those groups, and I don't know what they're saying over there, but I have a feeling that it's not on Twitter, because if it was, you guys would all know about it. Even though 80% of you say you don't engage on Twitter at all, but there are people very active in my chat who do, who know everything that's going on. Just South of History says, can civil judgments ever be appealed to higher courts? Yes. Yes, they can. We saw that in the Maya Kowalski case. There was something like I don't remember exactly the amount, so don't hold me to it, a $260 million verdict in the Maya Kowalski case. That was a Florida case. It was a civil case against a hospital and some doctors. And that was reversed on appeal. And they're going to have to go back and try that case again. So yes, Absolutely can. Ms. Holmes says, I believe Grant might know something about Michael Proctor's text. No, but it wasn't text messages between Proctor and Yuri. That's just not it. Whatever it is was his confidential personal information about why he could not come to his deposition. And the judge still didn't believe it anyway. To loosely quote Rosemary, says Robin G., why are they protecting him? Thanks for being here for 26 months. See you, Buffs, moms. Go Buffs. Says, what court is this in? This is in Plymouth Superior Court. Plymouth Superior Court. This is the civil hearing. I don't know if it's going to be Plymouth Superior Court, 52 O'Berry Street, Plymouth, Massachusetts, says Julio Suave. Is it going to be open to the public? Listen, with all those lawyers and all the parties in there and everyone who's got an interest in it, I don't know if there's going to be any seats in the courtroom because, there's only like 3 pews on each side. I call them pews because that's exactly what they look like. It's church pews. Jenny says, I live close to the courthouse. I want to go. It should be open to the public. Get on over there if you want to. I'm not telling you what to do, but if you want to go, it's open to the public. It's supposed to be. Eroy says, Sergeant Goode's IA report was released. Thank you. I have that up next. I have it queued up. Tell me you're tuning in late without telling me you're tuning in late. Thank you, Plant, to Abels for your super sticker. Very much for tuning in from Europe or across the pond. Megan got her tie-dyed shirt today. I love it. Oh, 20% off in the merch shop for today and tomorrow only. If anybody wants merch, go get it now while it's 20% off because nobody likes a good sale better than I do. All right. Thoughts, questions, comments, concern before we move on. Right. Beth Thompson said, when this was claimed in court the last time, it was harassing phone calls. That's what it was. Yes, they said right after we filed something, Michael Proctor started receiving harassing phone calls. Right. JD said, right. Remind me again, was it like death threats and stuff? But that was before this order came out. And now apparently they say there was a more recent leak. JD says, no leaks. It's all speculation. Judge and House suspect twisting it into their favor. I saw this headed this way last week. You can tell when the ad hominem attacks start against people like me on Twitter that something's going to happen. Chris M. Vincent says, more effery by the government, in my opinion. Just try and, if you could just not write that word in the chat, that'd be great. Angela says, Proctor's lawyers gave the judge the details so it wasn't discussed in open court. Yeah, it was impounded. Everything was sealed. All the papers were sealed. And he said, go back and get me some more information. And then they got more information. And then the judge said, it's not good enough. He's got to come tomorrow for a deposition. And her team said, no, we can't. We can't do it. People think it was Proctor and his family. I don't know. People called Proctor and heckled him. That's what he complained about last time, right? Well, that was his reasoning to initially have everything impounded to begin with, right? And again, another way to draw more eyes to this case, poorly played by the deposition dodgers, says Rich Holton. And this is what I call the Afro Man effect. And sometimes we have to just put Afro Man up in the corner to remind us of the Afro Man effect. And lemon pound cake. Emily C., she knows what I'm talking about. She says, when I make an X post and the trolls come to play, I know I'm onto something. I know it's a tell. It's a tell. They have a tell. They take pictures of us and then they alter them and they put them up and they just attack us and how they think we look. And it's you know that when that happens, that something's about to happen. Full of questions. Barbara says, don't be a dirtbag and you won't be in this position. Julie says, so remember, Damon responded to the accusation and Gildea said they could have been talking about me. Yes, I do remember that. Dr. Brian says all of this is sus. It's out of control. No. J1C says, supposedly somebody at Proctor's deposition leaked that the deposition had to be stopped because Proctor was having a panic attack. Could that be it? Maybe no, because it has specifically to do with the impounded materials accompanying the motion so that he wouldn't have to come for his deposition. That motion. It was specifically on paper number 112 in the judge's order. So I don't think it has anything to do with that. But, tell me what you think. Again, al dente, that's like an Afro man comment. Why would you draw attention to something? And also, please do not send me emails like, oh, I thought you should know that here's all the mean things that people are saying about you. And then send me like screenshots of mean things people are saying about me. Like, no, don't do that. Okay, we're not in high school. Telling people bad things that people are saying about them, hurtful things or mean things that people are saying about them that's not something that a good friend does. And also, you're not my friends. You're on the internet. So don't do it. And Colleen says there's plenty of moles in the courthouse. Plenty of moles in the courthouse. So don't bring attention to it. Yes. Remember when Proctor said Yannetti harassed his sister? Right. He talked about that when I was with David Yannetti on Aiden's fundraiser. Yannetti said that he had no idea that Courtney Proctor worked there when he went to meet Lucky in the parking lot. He had no idea that he worked there, that she worked there. And then they spread that rumor about Yannetti hassling or harassing Courtney Proctor. Yep. FOIA and find out. GC Carl says, like, come on, as if someone like Kate Peter wouldn't leak these sealed filings. How would she get them, though? That's the point. If it was her or someone like her, how did they get it? Which attorney gave it to them? The judge is not going to stop until he finds out. So we'll see. Misbehaving in Florida says the call is 100% coming from inside the house. Catwoman says, Facebook is the place where you go when you were irrelevant in high school. Yep. Yep. That is it. No, I don't think so, Johnny. Johnny, you keep changing your name. Perhaps Turtle Boy's tweet about seen outside a panic attack. No, because that wasn't anything that was impounded. It is whatever was preventing him from appearing for a deposition indefinitely, whatever that excuse was, whatever was in those impounded affidavits, that is what was leaked according to the judge's order. Just read it. Just read it. That's what it says. Double McDouble says, I hate that man. I truly hate that man, Michael Proctor. Yep. It has nothing to do with the panic attacks. Just a normal mom says, did Turtle Boy slip and say where he was? I forget, but I thought he did. Not that I know of. Might have just been in his opinion type thing. I have no idea. And if he did, I wouldn't even put it in the chat because I don't know anything about it. I didn't hear it. And I think that you guys would have heard about it. And again, I'll take your 5, Never Zen Jen, but I don't think it has anything to do with his panic attack at the courthouse because it was a panic attack during the deposition. So it didn't have to do with the filings before the deposition, because remember, that was all the way back on June 8th when the judge held them for the entire day to get more information and to file more stuff over the weekend. So it's all the way back then. Somebody says their money's on McLaughlin. Thank you very much for your super chat, Jen. But I don't think that's it. Oh, thank you. JDT character girl, I sent an eye rolling Charlie emoji. Love you, Mel. I have this one already that we use whenever we need some common sense. We just put them up in the corner. I'll take a look for it. Thank you. Thank you, JDT character girl, for your super chat and for your emoji of Charlie Deloach, the foreman of the jury of Karen Reed trial number 2. And he told us everything. We watched an interview with him recently, and it was everything. I don't know. Is this like the fake bomb scare at the Juneteenth celebration fundraiser? I don't know. It's a great question. Default name. All right. Should we? And right. Why would Karen's team leak it? They're the only ones who want his deposition. That's right. Paula, that's right. Are you ready to move on? Are you ready to see Sean Goode's internal affairs report? Because that came out. Let's take a look at that. We got to do the breaking news first because that's stuff that nobody else has covered. And the other stuff might be repeats of stuff that you've already read. It's going to be a cold read for me. I haven't read this yet. So this should be interesting. Remember, the town of Canton Police Department had to hire an independent investigator. And here we are at 54, switching subjects. So I can write that down and timestamp it for those of you later that want to just watch certain portions again. 55, approximately 55 minutes in, we are turning to Goode's IA report. And here we go. Okay, here we go. MJ Myers Consulting Investigation Report, Findings of Fact and Conclusions. This has to do with Sean Goode. This report is the result of an investigation into allegations of misconduct regarding Town of Canton Police Sergeant Sean Goode. On or about October 24th, 2025, the interim police chief, Joseph Perkins, was informed by the Norfolk DA's office of concerning and problematic text messages potentially demonstrating bias uncovered during an investigation allegedly made by and sent by Sergeant Sean Goode. The town retained this investigator to determine whether Sergeant Goode's texts and other messages amounted to violations of applicable town policies and town police department rules and regulations. So this is, I guess, an independent investigator. And his name is MJ Myers Consulting. On October 24th, 2025, through conversations with Norfolk DA Michael Morrissey, Chief Perkins was made aware of concerning and problematic text messages uncovered during a separate investigation into the MSP Trooper Michael Proctor. Said messages were allegedly from and were made by Sergeant Goode. Later that day, in person, Chief Perkins was shown several text messages allegedly sent by Sergeant Goode that were in fact offensive, related to a variety of protected categories under the law and town policies, and in some cases directly related to his work as a Canton police officer. Chief Perkins was further presented with a sample of recorded voice notes, which he confirmed to contain Sergeant Goode's voice. Okay. The only voice memos that have been released so far to the media that the media got a hold of and reported on were Proctor's, but apparently they've got voice messages from Sean Goode also. Footnote 1 says, as with all of the materials shown and presented to Chief Perkins in person on October 24th, 2025, the DA's office did not allow Chief Perkins to make copies, take pictures, or otherwise leave the office with materials related to the group chats or the information therein. In December 2025, selected portions of the group chat text message data were provided by the Norfolk DA's office directly to counsel for the town. On December 10th of 2025, the Norfolk DA's office provided the town's counsel, Clifford and Kenny, LLP, and later this investigator with over 200,000 text messages. Wow, why did it take from October 24th to December 10th for them to turn it over? Maybe they had to ask for permission. Over 200,000 text messages, photos, voice notes, videos, and memes dating as far back as 2013. A majority of the messages in the tranche of data provided to counsel and this investigator are contained within 2 group chats, each containing between 3 to 10 individuals, depending on the chat and year reviewed. Well, that's interesting. So the only stuff that was turned over to this investigator were 2 group chats, which must have involved Sean Goode. One of them, I guess, had 3 participants, and the other had 10 participants, depending on the year. These messages, photos, videos, voice notes, and memes contained a multitude of correspondences authored by Sergeant Goode, expressing objectively racist, misogynistic, anti-Semitic, homophobic, and other offensive, crude comments. At the direction of the town, the scope of this investigation is limited to addressing the allegations of whether Sean Goode's alleged texts and messages amounted to violations of applicable town and or department policies, rules, and regulations. Documents reviewed. So here's what they reviewed. Sergeant Goode's report submitted to Interim Chief Perkins dated October 23rd of 2025. Okay, what report did Sean Goode submit? Okay. Notice of paid administrative leave issued to Sergeant Goode dated October 24th, 2025, right? Because they put him on paid leave for like 8 or 9 months until they finally he finally resigned. Notice of paid administrative leave, right? Okay. Report to file 2512, written by Chief Perkins, dated October 28th, 2025. Norfolk Superior Court Protective Order, dated December 4th, 2025. That's probably why it took so long, because they had to amend the protective order to be able to give this stuff to them. We've handled so many of those hearings that I'm getting confused, but I'm sure that's what happened. Notice of investigatory interview to Sergeant Sean Goode, dated May 22, 26. Sergeant Goode's notice of resignation dated May 27th, 2026, effective June 2nd of 2026. And Norfolk County DA data tranche regarding Sergeant Sean Goode. Why does it say December 10th, 2026? That is the future. We're not in the future. Is that supposed to say 2025? Probably. So apparently they sent him a notice to interview him on May 22nd. And 5 days later, he served his notice of resignation, effective June 2nd. Do you want to bet that they didn't even get to interview him because right away he resigned? We are in the Twilight Zone. We have Twilight Zone emojis for that. Members, show them. Relevant policies. And here's all the policies that they looked at. Professional conduct, conduct unbecoming, mobile data terminals, unlawful harassment, discrimination policy, and prohibited conduct, conduct unbecoming, insubordination, dissemination of official information. Findings of fact. He got a paid vacation. He got a paid vacation for something like 8 or 9 months. That's exactly what happened. Sydney, thanks for your 5, says black SUVs with Washington, D.C. plates were seen leaving Canton PD parking lot today. I don't know how true that is or what, if anything, it means, but it's interesting. Thanks, Mrs. Bouquet, for your super sticker. And to Jody, who says, I find the judge's commentary /snark frustrating. Ellen says, from Denmark, giving Bevy's grave concern vibes, which turned out to be nothing. I hope Gildea would get a little more concerned than Canoni when he realizes that he's been played, aka lied to. I just need a latte says, could this be related to Friday's orders? I don't know. Because Friday's orders had to do with Tully. Had to do with Tully's motion to quash. And they wanted proof that, certain witnesses were being treated differently. So maybe, but I don't think so. But everything is inextricably intertwined, unfortunately. So I just need a latte. That is a good point. Someone else put something in the chat that made me think, do you think the judge wants a gag order on this case? And this is going to give him a reason to do it? I'm just speculating, but it would be kind of odd. Would it not, to have a gag order on a case like this? That is there's so much public interest in it because of the corruption angle and the exposure of the corruption. And if there was a gag order on this case, wouldn't you think that that is just going to fuel the fire of corruption? Don't you think? It would be like, people would be like, oh yeah, well, of course it's corrupt. Of course it's corrupt. That's why they want a gag order. That's why they're slamming down a gag order, because it's corrupt, because they don't want anybody to know about the corruption. They don't want anybody talking about it. They don't want to, Afro man this whole thing. Moving on. Here's the findings of fact with regard to Sean Goode and the independent investigation. Bella Brad says, how often are there gag orders in civil litigation? Is that common? Did we see one in the Maya Kowalski case? I don't remember if there was eventually a gag order in that case, but was there a gag order in Depp v. Heard at some point? Hold on 1 second. It's not that uncommon. It happens. All right, moving on. Finding is a fact. On October 20th, 2025, Sergeant Goode notified Chief Perkins that Mr. Proctor's group chats and/or messages were recently discovered as part of an investigation into Proctor. Sergeant Goode received word from Mr. Proctor that Sergeant Goode's messages were included in those chats. Oh, Proctor told him, gave him a heads up. Chief Perkins is trying to make Goode like the good guy. Goode was the good guy who went and self-snitched. He went and self-snitched to Chief Perkins. He's like, by the way, some stuff's going to come out that's really, really bad in Proctor's text messages that I said that show that I'm a virulent bigot and an equal opportunity racist. Just a heads up. Just so you know. Chief Perkins ordered Sergeant Goode to write a report detailing his understanding of what would be revealed in these group chat messages. According to Chief Perkins' report from October 28th, 2025, Sergeant Goode advised him in part of the following, and this is quoted from the report. Proctor advised Sergeant Goode that some of the questionable / inappropriate text messages may have been exchanged between him and Goode. Sergeant Goode stated he could not provide specifics to me at that time due to his lack of recall of any questionable text between him and Proctor. Sergeant Goode's only specific recollection was a joking comment about slavery reparations. Oh, that's funny. That's so funny. Slavery reparations are so funny. And the reason he didn't recall anything is because it was so pervasive and he just talked like that, using the N-word flippantly at any possible opportunity. But let's hear. Let's see if they quote any of the messages from Goode. No good deed goes unpunished. On October 23rd, 2025, Sergeant Goode provided a written report regarding the concerning text exchanges. Sergeant Goode wrote to Chief Perkins in part the following. There were messages between Mr. Proctor and myself and 5 other friends from the period between June 2020 to October 2023. I was not able to recover earlier messages. Oh, so he went back into his own phone. Oh, that's going to be discoverable too, sir. You might have resigned, but you're not out of hot water. So all he's got is from 2020 to 2023. Because everything else he wasn't able to recover. Was it deleted? Did you crack your SIM card in half on a military base by any chance? I did not review every message in the thread, and I limited my focus to the messages I had authored. My messages in this thread were primarily related to my personal political views and opinions, i.e. Trump/Biden. Oh, really? We didn't even see any of those messages. That was Sergeant Goode's report to Chief Perkins, where he was apparently self-snitching on stuff that we haven't even seen yet. Yeah, unfortunately for you, no good deed goes unpunished. Has nothing to do with your politics and everything to do with your racism. Let's keep reading. Right. J1 says there was so much racism and misogyny that Goode couldn't remember exactly what was bad. Right. On October 24th, 2025, Chief Perkins was notified by Norfolk County ADA, Lisa Beatty, about the concerning text messages. Is that what she said? These messages are concerning? Really? Concerning for who? For the Commonwealth? For Canton PD? For everybody who was ever incarcerated and are prosecuted because of Sean Goode and Michael Proctor? I'd be concerned too. But you're going to be busy for a very long time, DA's office. Michael Marcy's probably can't wait to get out of there. Chief Perkins reported in person to the Norfolk DA's office to view the messages that same day. Chief Perkins reported the following. I mean, I think I remember, didn't we hear from Chief Perkins one day at a Canton Town Select Board meeting? He seemed like a good guy. I'm not recalling. I don't recall if that was him. He succeeded Helena Rafferty right after she retired. Yeah. Here's what Chief Perkins reported. I heard the voice of Canton PD Sergeant Sean Goode describing the following 3 incidents in separate audio cuts. Uh-oh, here we go. Are you ready? I guess I should get my red pen ready just in case there's any words that I need to. This is a cold read for me, so trigger warning just in case, I guess. Here's the 3 incidents in separate audio. These are audio messages. A road rage incident at Legacy Place involving a black female motorist off duty. Sergeant Goode described his masochistic interaction with the black female operator while using brash language, recounting the event to the other recipients. I was not provided any verifying data, date, time, or source of the recording. Okay. He was off duty. Why was he having interactions with a black female motorist while he's off duty? Was he the one doing the road rage? Was he road raging? Was she road raging? Was he involved in it? I have so many questions. Or was the female motorist off duty? It's unclear because this is Chief Perkins' report of it, and he doesn't really tell us much of anything. We haven't seen that or heard that recording, but somebody hopefully will do a FOIA request and get the recordings the way that the media did last time and put them on WBZ or whatever. Whichever news outlet in Massachusetts is brave enough to actually report on this stuff. Number 2, an interaction on duty describing a hit and run investigation where the suspect came back to the scene, but Sergeant Goode chose to charge the suspect with leaving the scene, even though the suspect came back. Wow. I was not provided any verifying data, date, time, or source of the recording. Oh, great. Okay, so he chose to charge the suspect with leaving the scene, even though he came back to the scene. This is how they do it. This is how they've been doing it for decades. They're telling us everything. And this is just a tip of the good iceberg. These are voice recordings of Sergeant Goode from Proctor's phone. So this is the good, the not so good voice recordings of Sean Goode. Here's the third one. An interaction on duty describing a motor vehicle pursuit with a female. Sergeant Goode described the incident while using brash and unprofessional language. I was not provided any verifying data, date, time, or source of the recording. And this all comes from Chief Perkins' report to file. Okay. So I'm going to assume, using my context clues, that the third one was a white female because the first one specifies that it's a black female. Okay. The second one was a suspect who left the scene but came back to the scene, but he charged them with leaving the scene anyway. They don't say if that's a man or a woman. It just says the suspect, even though the suspect came back. So we don't know if that's a woman too. And so all of this is going to bolster Karen Read's civil rights claims, isn't it? Especially against the Canton PD and Sean Goode. And perhaps he should be added as a defendant too. Because if Sean Goode is revealed to be a misogynist, especially during cases that he is investigating, whether he's on duty or off duty? How do you think he treated Karen Reed? Remember, he was one of the first on scene that morning. He's the one who shot home and shot back to his own garage to get a leaf blower because Paul Gallagher told him to. He was the one who was overnight in the police department at Canton PD. He's the one who answered the phone when Carrie Roberts called to laugh about how Karen's boyfriend didn't come home and she was being crazy, thinking maybe he got hit by a plow or something. I forget what Carrie Roberts exactly said, but we know she lied to the grand jury, so does it really matter? And then we know that he also was the one who answered the 911 call. None of these have metadata. We don't know when they are, but boy, does this bolster Karen Reed's claims of civil rights violations against the town of Canton. And perhaps, just maybe, they should get a hold of Sergeant Goode's phone and add him as a defendant too. Oh, it's not just a whole new episode. This is a whole new season. Season 4. This will be season 4 when this happens. Emily C says that he passed Canton PD on the way home to get the leaf blower. Wow. Wow. Yep. He's the one who was in there with Dever. He's the one who had Dever relieve him so that he could go to the scene at 34 Fairview. Didn't he go to Canton High too with all the rest of these people? You can't make it up. You can't make it up. Also, in Chief Perkins' report, ADA Beatty then asked Tim, who's Tim? Hold on, we'll find out. Whoops, I need a highlighter instead of a red pen. Time to change my tool. Tim, who's Tim? Footnote 2. Tim is referenced in Chief Perkins' report as another member of the Norfolk County DA's office staff. It's not Tim the Toolman Taylor, is it? ADA Beatty then asked Tim to show me 3 text messages. I did notice that the years of these texts were between 2013 and 2014. So they gave him 3 audio recordings and 3 text messages between 2013 and 2014. One of the texts, the N-word was typed with an A at the end of it. One text contained C-word Jew. And then the third text, Sergeant Sean Goode was complaining about homosexuals. Oh, he too was an equal opportunity bigot. Now I have more questions. Is Lisa Beatty related to Tom Beatty? I mean, they all are from Canton. I don't know if she's from Canton, but ADA Lisa Beatty, we saw her in a couple of trials that we watched. Maybe she was on Brian Walsh, or maybe she's on Miles King. I mean, I'm wondering now if Lisa Beatty has any relation to Tom Beatty, because this town is so incestuous. Everybody's related to everybody. It's like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. On October 24th, 2025, after reviewing the messages with ADA Beatty, Chief Perkins placed Sergeant Goode on administrative leave, pending an internal investigation. The administrative letter stated in part, "Please allow this correspondence to serve as formal notice that the town of Canton is placing you on paid administrative leave of absence, effective immediately, pending the outcome of an administrative investigation. The matters under investigation include allegations that you engaged in conduct that violated the department's rules, regulations, and policies, including conduct unbecoming an officer." Good notice of administrative leave. On December 4th, 2025, the Norfolk DA's office obtained a protective order from the Norfolk Superior Court pertaining to the text messages, allowing them to be provided to this investigator and viewed for this investigation. The court ordered in part, pursuant to Rule 14, it is hereby ordered as follows. 1, counsel for the town of Canton and for the Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission may receive 1 copy of the files from Michael Proctor's cell phone, determined to be discoverable under Rule 14. They shall not be otherwise copied. And that was the protective order dated 12/4/2025. It doesn't say the judge, but at this point, I don't remember who it was. Maybe it was Doolin, maybe it was Krupp. I don't recall, because it was all the way back in December of 2025. Yes, Jody617 says Lisa Beatty was the one trying to keep Rosemary Scapiccio from getting Proctor's messages. Right. She's been the keeper of Proctor's messages. the keeper of the secrets. Trapper Keeper. On December 10th, 2025, Clifford and Kenny, LLP, counsel for the town of Canton, received a copy of the data tranche. I love that word, tranche, from the Norfolk DA's office and provided the same to this investigator. Yes, Olivia. Olivia's here. Hi, Olivia. Says, isn't it amazing how they practically allow all of these cops to retire before they find out about their misconduct, allegedly? Follow their retirements. Oh, yeah, always. This one resigned, though. He resigned. He just straight up resigned. Tully retired. The data provided by the Norfolk DA's office contained over 200,000 messages and attachments, which consist of text messages, photos, videos, memes, and voice notes recovered from Mr. Proctor's phone for the purposes of a separate investigation. A majority of the data can be attributed to group chats created in an application called WhatsApp. Oh, that's what he used, WhatsApp. That's the majority of the data is in WhatsApp. There you go. I think the feds only got some text messages, right? I don't think those were WhatsApp messages. I think those were text messages the feds got that Proctor was embarrassed with. At trial number 1, he said it was unfortunate and regrettable, but he wouldn't have changed a thing. You know, calling Karen a whack job C word and stuff like that. I don't think those were on WhatsApp. I think those are text messages, right? iMessages, SMS, remind me. I don't remember hearing about WhatsApp. Based on this investigator's review of all the data, Sergeant Goode participated in 3 of the 8 WhatsApp groups provided by the Norfolk DA data tranche. This first group chat, including Sergeant Goode, contains messages from August of 2019 through October of 2023. Oh, tell us more. Tell us more. There were 8 total participants in the group, and it was originally created to discuss the group's fantasy football league. Oh, of course, they play fantasy football because they're like children. No shade to anybody who plays fantasy football. I know a lot of adults do, but it just makes sense. It just makes sense. Oh, please. The second group chat included Sergeant Goode, contains messages from March of 2015 through July of 2021. There are 2 participants in the group. Oh, who's in that group? Is that just him and Proctor? It must be. It just must be Goode and Proctor. Goode and Proctor. Proctor and Goode. That's a play on Procter and Gamble. And Goode and Proctor is a play on Good and Plenty. And Proctor sure is plenty, isn't he? Come on, you're called the Snark Tank for a reason. Keep up. Keep up. Sometimes you gotta laugh or you're just gonna cry because you can't even believe that this stuff is real. Of course, there's only it's Goode and Proctor because it came from Proctor's phone. The third group chat, including Sergeant Goode, contains messages from April of 2013 through March of 2022. There are 10 total participants in that group. The participants of this chat group designated it Party Boys. Oh, Party Boys. The Party Boys, all 10 of them. Party Boys. Okay, we can call them the Hardy Boys, the Party Boys. Did anybody know about the Party Boys group chat? Party Boys group chat. Is that the one where they talk about, graping women without consent? Trying to get in the back door even though she doesn't want you to and getting her hammered so you can do it, or just doing something, depositing all over her when she's asleep? Was that in the Party Boys group text or the Fantasy Football League? I don't know, because there's some of them where some of the guys have been named. If there were 8 in group 1 and 10 in group 2, it could be either one, fantasy football or just fantasy or Party Boys. The Hardy Boys would have done a better investigation into the murder of John O'Keefe than Proctor and Goode did. That's neither here nor there. During the course of this investigation, Sergeant Goode participated, texted, shared, and condoned conduct that was racist, misogynistic, anti-Semitic, homophobic, ableist, and otherwise offensive and or discriminatory. The following sections detail some of the specific statements and comments attributed to Sergeant Goode as obtained during this investigation. However, it does not reflect the entirety of what this investigator reviewed to reach conclusions about potential violations of department and town policies. Footnote 3, which reads, each of the numbered and italicized messages referenced in section 5, paragraph 7 and its corresponding subsections are exact quotes from Sergeant Goode. As contained in the data tranche provided, any misspelled words, misplaced words, or other incorrect grammar have been included to reflect the messages in the exact manner they were originally sent. References that are not italicized represent descriptions of messages, voice recording, picture, etc. Give me one moment, because I see some things that I need to redact here because YouTube just won't like them. Some of them have been redacted, some of them have not. And these are going to be specifically things that were said by Sean Goode. Hold on. And I'm going to trigger warn you for language. Nurses, take me off your public computer in the hospital, please. Barbershop in Quincy, Nikki's, I think it's Nikki's Barbershop. Please take me off your public television. I don't want any of this subjugated to me because these are the words of Sean Goode. Children, earmuffs. The N word even ending in an A, I don't think is appropriate. So I'm just not going to say it. I'm just going to say N word. Wow. I mean, could it even be that Sean Goode is worse than Proctor? The G word is going to be slang for an Asian slur. I'm going to say G word for that. Remember the Asian house that they talked about in the family group text messages? I do. Oh, he's got a lot of Asian slurs in here, a lot of G words. Wow. He really hates Asians. Hold on. And Asian corn. He likes Asian corn too. I mean, wow. Okay, I'm going to trigger warn you again. Okay, all right. If you thought Proctor was bad, okay. All right. I warned you. I warned you. Here it is, because this is yeah, it begins with a G and it ends in a K. It's a 4-letter word, and I'm gonna call it the G word. And I may have to just there's so many pages of this that I may have to stop and go. So many pages of this. This makes I'm rarely speechless. You know I am rarely speechless, and here it comes. And this, we may not even get to Tully tonight, but we may. But this is going to outrage you. Get your I am outraged. Get your I am outraged emojis ready, members. This is bad. Sergeant Sean Goode authored the following text messages showing bias against several races and ethnicities. Can one of the mods put up a trigger warning for language, and I'll pin it, please? I mean, this is not for the faint of heart or anybody with like an empathetic bone in their body. Sergeant Goode authored the following text messages showing bias against several races and ethnicities. Thank you, virtual juror. I'll pin you. Continue. Just hold on. The Bills look good, and if they can control Deshaun like this, they can control Baltimore's black quarterback. And these are all separate, and they're Roman numerals, but I'm not going to read the numerals. Blackie? That sergeant was forced to go to the White House. He did nothing wrong. That blank guy is a race-baiting C-word. Blank, and these are, when I say blank, it's redacted by the author of this report. Blank is the whitest black kid. Yeah, Canton was so racist. Blank, give me one example. He's probably naming people in the group chat. We all saw the same hood rats breaking into the liquor stores. Hey, blank, you live in a gated community in one of the most expensive neighborhoods in the world. You'll be fine. And your only interaction with black people are the ones that clean your house and cut your grass. My honest issue with everything that is going on, and I feel like I can respond honestly, is that as police, we respond constantly to violent crimes, and the vast majority of those crimes are black on black, and the general public doesn't care. Why didn't we see these massive protests in March when a 13-year-old in Jamaica Plan was innocently gunned down by gang fighting? Not a whisper. Their cause, they are fighting for, they are THERE. Their cause that they are fighting for doesn't hold water in my mind. They should be outraged every weekend in Chicago when they average 15 murders. They want to just rob and steal. They love being criminals. That is weird. Next will be they get 2 points automatically to their civil service like vets get. Wearing tons of baby powder caused that N-word was ashy as hell. No way blank doesn't drop an accidental N-word comment. I would never go on camera. I would freeze, then blurt out C-word or N-word. Wow. Wow. Wow, Sean Goode. You could never go on camera because you would freeze and then blurt out C-word or N-word? Does he have Tourette's? And no shit against people who do. But really, is it that? Does it come out of your mouth so freely that you're afraid to go on camera because you're afraid you might just blurt it out? There is only so much an N-word can take, and balls nor D will never be one of those. Never be one of them. I wish I had a lot of Jewy friends. I wouldn't spend money like an N-word on payday. And then now we're going to the G word. It's a 4-letter word ending in K. It's a racial slur for Asians. Who is the G word with blank? Been loyal customer for a very long time. Been happy with them. Can't deal with, quote, G words next to blank. Were the toilets small in G word land? Stupid, ugly G words. Exactly. I want to be jealous of you guys. Girl to guy ratio is 12-1, and you find a 50-year-old G word to talk to. I want to be depressed. So I went to Apple today and I saw at 500 Asians in line waiting to purchase unlocked iPhone 6s. Talked to one of the the geeks there, and they told me they all come in with cash and spend an average of 5 to 10K on iPhones and ship them over to China. I literally watched this G word pull 5 Gs from a bag to pay for phones. Students pay $100 a year to park. It's outrageous. Get rid of the courts and make more parking spots. How many students play tennis? Jews and 4 G words? 7 Jews and 4 G words? Stupid G words. Ha, watch out for the retarded flu. From now on, I'm just going to say R word, and you're going to know what I mean. How's your Asian corn collection? How are Asians there? Real, I'm going to say clinky, but it's as an H as the second letter. Yeah, Goode is jealous he's never made 5K in his life, says Zoe. Although I'm sure his salary was way more than that. A chick is moving in. Is she Asian? Brown? Does she smell? Eat an Asian D. Asians are the strangest creatures on earth. Asians can't even drive Segways. Open house across the street from me, and it's packed with Asians. And then there's an emoji of a cop and a water pistol. Like, shoot me in the head. Asians are the worst neighbors. Keep there, THERE. That's how intelligent he is. He doesn't know the difference between there, and there. Keep their yard/house like shit, and the in-laws live with them. Fat Asians are the best Asians. Got bullied all through life and then decided to be Eminem and grow out all right, it's got a P as the second letter, but I'm going to say slick stash. That's an Hispanic slur. Another equal opportunity racist. Thank you, Scott. Says it has nothing to do with the blue line. The blue line was created to memorize fallen officers. Certain groups have spun the meeting. Don't try it here. Scott is retired, 25 years on the job. Not all cops are bad. Nobody hates a bad cop more than a good cop. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Back to Sean Goode's words. Yes, it was. Or when he asked the black to say the line, "What you talking about, Willis?" And it was even him that says that line on the show. Well, I'm glad that the investigator could see that that was a racist. Is it too much to ask the Brazilians at Dunks to butter both pieces of my bagel? Drives me bonkers. Wow. I hope he dies or gets ass graped by a big black hog. Bring in nasty blank from half baked to F blank to death. In another post, shortly after the death of George Floyd, Sergeant Goode shared a photo of George Floyd when he was on the ground being kneeled on. He superimposed a photo of the Barry Wood meme sitting on George Floyd's neck with the comment, "Too soon?" This is all good. All of this is all good. All good all the time. Eat a black D. What's the clinktard's name that was adopted by the old superintendent? Wetbacks and a K word that I think is a slur for Polish people are my favorite. How are the blacks? Blackie? How are the blacks down there? Very blackie? Those all came from the Norfolk DA data tranche. Sergeant Goode authored the following text messages, which are objectively anti-Semitic. Plug your ears. Again, this is going to offend you. Great owner, terrible C-wordy Jew to everybody else. Just don't, I think he was talking about the owner of the Patriots because they talked about him a lot too. Robert Kraft. Just don't like that whiny Jewish complaining humor. Jews controlled the election. He was at a 3-day-long Jewish orgy. Midget Jew. You have a Jew nose, and she's a Jew, so she definitely puts out. And the Jew chick is pretty cute. Who looks more Jewy? Jew effer. But yes, very Jewy. That's kind of Jewy. Mr. Blank is a noisy little Jew dweeb. Who's that? A Jew or a black? It's observationally Jewy. Jew knows, Jew sympathizers. Because blank, they have to get all the slutty years out of them before they marry some geeky Jew. Jew D-word. Jew mentality. Always thinking they're entitled. Full-blown Jews from Sharon are the worst. Entitled C-words. Too many Jews. Yep, it was awesome. Blacks from Arboretum and Windsor Woods are not on Twitter following a Jewish police chief. Who's the Jewish police chief? Nicole Claire says, I am so glad everyone they know can see this. Tracy says, I've not heard a lot of these racist words before. Where were we? But he has a lot of Jewy friends. Typical Jew, having it on a Sunday to save money. Anne Frank's hide and seek. Anne Frank's hide and seek club. Really? Really? Rubicon says exactly what I'm thinking. I can't imagine working at a culture where this is known and accepted and so freely spoken. Was the police chief that he was talking about Berkowitz? Maybe. Likely. And Frank is a lying C-word. Never understood whiny Jew humor. Jew sympathizers. I mean, already this is so much worse than Proctor, and there's so much more. This is the internal affairs investigation by the independent investigator of Sean Goode. But wait, there's more. Sergeant Goode authored the following text messages that are homophobic. It's only gay if you push back. And then there's the FAG word, which I don't even know if I'm allowed to say, but in Britain it means cigarette, right? So how about I just substitute the word cigarettes? Probably a fluffer for a cigarette. It's legal to be cigarette. So it's possible. So it possibly could have been a bear, but most likely a cigarette. Okay, thanks for the info. Because he is cigarette. You have them correct. Fudge draws are cool. Fish fags are not. Fish, PHISH, like the band. Queer. Yeah, if they were three dicks, you queer. Blank, you big queer. You big queer. So is Blank's kid a queer? Queer comment of the week. Post some queer quote on Instagram. Nice limp wrist queer. And he's queer? No, I would scissor F. Hold on a second. Give me a minute to. I just. Hold on. Oh no. Oh my God. All right. I mean, they didn't redact any of the F words in here, but I'm going to. No, I would scissor F every hot lesbian I saw. Ran it. She's a big lesbian. Now, do you think he will be a lesbian or like D, but using the C word for the D word? I think he looks more like the cigarette from Braveheart. By P word pick, did you mean greatest gay photo? The amount of sea suckers at the park and ride across from Blue Hills is astonishing. Grown ass men just park and walk into the woods, and kid comes off like a complete sea sucker. What time you homos coming over? Homo. We caught a guy that was driving a stolen car today that was involved in a carjacking last night in Boston. And while I was searching him in the groin area, he says, yo, that's homo. I started laughing and told him to get used to it, considering he will get plenty of homo time in South Bay. Then I realized my video and mic recording will be downloaded for the arrest file and just started laughing, thinking when the 88 plays it, and I have to explain to her that was me. Oh, wow. When was that? And was it on the body cam? Or did they let the guy go so nobody would ever watch the body cam? Now I have more questions. Just saw the first D-bag of the weekend with his cowboy hat and ripped flannel shirt and jean shorts on. Only chicks look good in that outfit. Homo. Wonder if there was a country concert or festival in town that weekend. Homos. All of that was from the Norfolk DA data tranche. But wait, there's more. Corey Hopkins, paging Corey Hopkins. Paging Corey Hopkins. FOIA and find out. JoJo's grave concern. Thank you for gifting 5 memberships. You're amazing. A lot of new members. I'll come back and thank you after. Sandra says, Gildea pisses me off. Maybe if he would have let Sugden make his record that Karen's team had nothing to do with the supposed harassing calls, Proctor claims, this wouldn't be so confusing. Thank you for tuning in from Canada and for your super chat. Hope you enjoyed your vacation. I did. I talked about it at length earlier today and also last night, if you want to hear about it. And also I posted a lot of my video on Instagram, but it's disappeared because they were 24-hour stories. Your dad's favorite mom, thanks for your time. Proctor's lawyer was in court when Rosenberg asked Doolin if they could use the text in the lawsuit against Canton and MSP. His lawyer with the baby shark hair said, hasn't he been through enough? That's right. Hasn't he been through? They knew it was coming. They knew it was coming. They didn't know him heads up because they knew it was coming. And he wasn't a defendant. It just embarrassed him with his text messages, right? Hasn't he been through enough? Overruled sit down says, isn't Lisa Beatty the first assistant DA? She was the one going to Judge Casper for the impoundment of the federal document dump. Yes. Yes, that's her. Thanks for your 5. GC Carl says, if it wasn't for Turtle Boy and Karen, none of this would ever get exposed and these guys would still be out there with the guns and badges. You're right about that. Yep. So at least, hold on, there's a good comment here. So at least 2, Kelly from Texas says, so at least 2 out of 10 men in this Norfolk group chat are unemployable forever and living with their moms. Gross. Okay. Sergeant Goode authored the following text messages that are offensive to those with mental and physical disabilities. I mean, this investigator did a thorough job. I had my my thoughts about this before I read it, thinking, oh, great, this is going to be like another 5 Stones audit or whatever that company was that did the audit of the Canton PD. But I must say, well, it's interesting because the guy who wrote this, his name is Mike Myers. I must say he did a really good job. This seems like a really, really, really good, thorough investigation, I must say. Mike Myers did a great job here. Because usually independent means not so much. Okay. The R word here is going to stand for the shortened version of retarded, okay? So you can go full R word after getting slammed to the ground. Tua looks scrambled. So you're saying there could be more retarded gang bangers coming out of the woods? Blank is blank's retarded twin. Protard, you mean? This little effer has the best tard voice. Hey, so is blank still retarded? What's the clink tard's name that was adopted by the old superintendent? I'm going to guess that the old superintendent had an adopted Asian child. You're a simple tard, but a deaf R word. Hey, I know this is a depressing day, but if you guys need a real good chuckle, radio is on FX right now. Cuba goes full R word and it's a gas from start to finish. This is what they think is funny. In the tard way. So they've even coined a new slur and they just say tard because they all know what the other people are talking about. Seems cheap. Are they retarded puppies? What about Jodie Foster and Nell? She went full R word. That has to count for something. Yeah, since when do they have body cams? That's a great point. Kiki D. Kiki D wants to know since when did they have body cams? Oops. I want to highlight that. I wanted to cross it off. In the tard way. Seems cheap. Are they retarded puppies? Oh, wait, we're here. Nice V-neck tard. I guess which one of their buddies was wearing a V-neck? Imagine the R word strength on that P word. I look slightly retarded. Can't go full R word. Good morning, F-tards. Wow, he might actually be retarded. Sort of its spin-off comedy this time. It's James Bond. James Bond's retarded brother. Who's the tard now? Plays a better tard than cop. Never knew they were friends. Blank was that fat tard, right? Could be, not sure, but I do know she got robbed in the Westgate parking lot by a couple thugs that she thought were going to sell her heroin. They effing tarred her pretty good. No, Bear didn't go full R word, so he got sent to Brookfield. Remember, Bear is Proctor. He definitely has R word strength. So, having a Sunday morning conversation with the wife, and it's going nowhere. So let's see what Party Boys think. Oh, Party Boys, that was the name of their group chat. Watching the show Born This Way, it's about retarded kids living life. There was a scene of a couple out on a date, and I asked, was the male party retarded? And blank didn't know. Oh, your wife? The kid didn't have any of the telltale signs, i.e., huge forehead, superhuman strength, ginormous space between his eyes, or a goofy smile. So I asked, is that okay if one of the parties is not retarded in the relationship? And blank associated with it with, is it okay if a white girl dates a black girl? I think it's crazy if one of the parties is not. He could totally take advantage of her, always beat her in trivia. So am I way off and still watching? And I can't tell if this kid is retarded. He's definitely slow, like maybe a few clicks over 70 on the IQ test. Just Rhonda says, I mean, I know there are racist people in our country, but I had no idea it would be someone or multiple someones involved in cases I followed so closely. Yes. Resilient Speaks says, OMG, Stephon Diggs needs to investigate them. Can you imagine what they said about Stephon Diggs? That too was in Norfolk County. He wasn't even indicted by a grand jury. Just like went straight to trial on those assault charges. People can date whoever they want, but would society accept it? You wouldn't raise a red flag if blank was slamming through blank R-worded girls on Tinder. Blank, you should bang an R word. Legit retarded. I would F at tard, and no way is she retarded. Watching I Am Sam for the first time in a while, and Penn went full R word and kills it. Any chance someone can put up a side-by-side photo of blank and the tart? Every single case this guy ever touched, after this explosive report was released just today, is now also going to be opened up. Wow. Oh, that's right. That's right. Didn't they have a body cam on when they went to arrest Karen Reed at her back door? Yes, that's right. They did. And blank jumped from the 97th floor of the World Trade Center on 9/11 with 2 infants in her hands and an R-word paraplegic on her back. Funny you said that. On Saturday, she grabbed my phone to Google a phone number, and the last 4 things I Googled were gay kid from Braveheart. I don't know, maybe Braveheart, that's supposed to say. R-word superhero, R redhead, and blue waffle. I don't even want to know what any of that stuff is, and I'm not going to Google it. But I guess his wife grabbed his phone, and those are his Google searches. I cleaned it up after blank some R-word collection. Can't lie, the little tard did a pretty good job. Do they pay them in cash or Skittles? Don't Google it? Okay, I won't. I'm not going to. Don't you do it either. Good luck. It took me a month to beat 30. I swear to God, I thought I had a touch of the downs. Felt so retarded not being able to beat it. That chick was borderline retarded. Sergeant Goode consistently would send images of individuals with Down syndrome after conversations dealt with topics of intelligence or making fun of people. This is revolting, disgusting. Tell me all the words to describe how you feel about it. Oh, the state police had body cam. It was the Canton PD that didn't have the body cams. Right. Good as Canton PD, though. But maybe he's talking about his dash cam. As Hurt Locker says, this makes me so sad and infuriated. I hope they get everything they deserve. They have absolutely no empathy, and I pray none is given to them. Sergeant Goode also authored text messages and shared photos and videos that were sexist, misogynistic, and displayed a clear gender bias against women. Oh my God. This is going to be, Karen's team must be salivating right now about this, because I don't think they have any of this. Goode was always just like an NPC. He was like a side character in all this. He was like an extra. Although was one of the first on the scene. Boy, is this going to explode her case against Canton PD. Name him. Name him. Name him as a defendant. Data discovery. Use it. If there's a statute problem, but I don't think there is. When I say statute, I mean statute of limitations. Sergeant Goode routinely referred to members of his community, most frequently women, as C-words. Sergeant Goode also shared and discussed sexually explicit messages and images, including images depicting people performing sex acts and other images of women in various states of undress. For example, Sergeant Goode authored the following. What a C-word. Making a mental note of that and blank, liking it. Can you imagine what he said about Karen Read? Can you imagine what he said about Karen Read? Do you think that this makes his phone discoverable in Karen Read's civil cases? I do. And this is only what was found on Proctor's phone. I wish I could apologize on his behalf to I Love Dogs 1970, who says, "Oh, dear God in heaven, I have a child with special needs and I feel like crying right now. Disgusting isn't a good enough word to describe his behavior." Here's more misogyny. Are you ready? Again, there's a pinned blanket language warning in the chat. Unofficial from what I'm hearing, blank won by only 13 votes over that C word, blank. So I didn't mean to highlight that. Stop. You're killing me. You're killing me over here. Wait a minute. I don't know who beat a woman by 13 votes in what political race or anything that is. Our team name is Busta Hyman and the Penetrators. Oh, that's classy. My favorite was Too Husky for Sandusky. And how about the C word stating, when have you ever done the easy way? Did she forget he robbed 6-year-olds all summer for his pill habit? I feel that's the easy way. I don't know who that's referring to, but maybe you guys do. Blank and I just finished Green Street Hooligans. At the end, oh, that must be his wife. She says, "This movie is too violent and stupid. So I did what I had to do. Headbutted her and then stood over her and screamed, 'United,' and clapped 3 times. She is such a P word." Oh, Mrs. Goode, are you out there? Are you listening? Are you watching this right now? Will you be the next person to file for a separation? Did you know that you were married to a monster, like a literal monster? He's telling his buddies that he headbutted you and that you're a P word. Are you going to stand for that? Tiana said, "OMG, that just hits different knowing about Sandra Birchmore." It was Canton PD that investigated that, by the way. Was Goode involved in that investigation? Because now my head is spinning. I can't even see straight. They have managed to insult everyone who's currently watching. Says Team Amanal. Jack says, "I have no words and I'm a choppy Welsh." Welsh one. Yeah. Susan says, "I wonder if mainstream media is reporting on this." This is, I mean, if you didn't think Proctor could get any worse, right? Did you? Did you think it could get any worse than Proctor? Liz says, "There are not enough words in the world to cover what I am feeling right now." I Love Dogs 1970 says, "Can you say DV?" I don't know, but he's like joking about it with his buddies. So frustrating. And the best part, and back to the text messages now, or the messages in the WhatsApp threads. This is only 3 WhatsApp threads in Proctor's phone, and all this shit was found on Goode. Imagine what's in his own phone. No, this is not blind justice. This is this man. Words. Find my words. Boston 25 was the one that posted it to Twitter. Thank you. Thank you, Scott. I'm going to have this. The National DV hotline is 1-800-799-7233. Text START to 88788. Thank you, Scott Messerschmidt. It's going viral, everyone's saying. Goode's wife. Wait, his wife is a guidance counselor in the Stoughton schools. Was she the guidance counselor for Sandra Birchmore? Okay. Back to Goode's words. So frustrating. And the best part, it's not like we're sending pics of Kate Upton's enormous floppers. We're sending shit pics. Also, for the boys that have Apple TV, make sure you turn off photo stream. Had an incident when I had my photos playing on my big screen, and all of a sudden the photo of the fat kid effing the girl making out with the blonde kid showed up on my 55-inch LED. That went over like a fart in church. Well, I enjoy. I can't even read this. But I'm just going to leave it here for you to read if you would like to. It's IX right here. Talks about enjoying doing something with his tongue to your mother's back door while your sisters are doing something with my. Yeah. Yes. He says, okay, again, this is not for the children. Get the children out of the room. I don't want to be responsible for your children's PTSD. Okay, he says, if you could blow yourself, would you? I'm an absolute no way, Jose. This is the things these guys talked about. Okay, somebody says, Meg Kennedy, BFF of Jen McCabe and wife of one of the virulent racists in these chats, Larry Kennedy, was Sandra's guidance counselor. Thank you, Pat Ray. Back to the words of Sean Goode. Dude, I remember coming back from Great Woods, sitting in the back seat, and blank had blank friend in the way back of blank's truck, and she started him, and the whole truck smelled of sweaty ball stack. It was one of those 90-degree all day drinking tailgate days. Effing gross. Of course, blank, your mom was riding shotgun on my C word whole way home. So you enjoy jazz on your sandwiches? I changed that word for my own sanity. She's the biggest C word. Before her maggot son died years ago, we dealt with her all the time. She would call on her loser kids and say she doesn't want them in the house and they are drug users. We told her everything she could do. We arrested her sons. She never showed up in court, so charges were dropped. She enabled her maggot kids and blames everyone but herself. Her husband and that C word live on blank road in a massive mansion. F her and her dead son. Can't wait to make the announcement when her other son dies. Knock, knock. With a shit-eating grin. What? Somebody's going to figure out who that is that they're talking about. This is the guy, one of the guys who swore to protect and serve Canton, town of Canton. Can you say 1983 action? And then they just start using the word slut. He starts tossing the word slut around. She was such a slut, sexy little slut, being a slut and a moron, banging sluts and blowing money. Gross slut, all league slut. He wouldn't fall for your slutty ways. I remember one time he was telling me how he bags these African hookers and doesn't wear a condom because they are the cleanest and hottest African sluts. She was a big time slut. He got game when Jesus gets to tag the two sluts. It was a great scene. Or his slutty sisters, F campaigns in college. Haha, made it up. I assume she was a slut. She did it blank for years. I'll give you blank. You always need a slut piece. Oh, what women are they talking about there? Not looking for a challenge. I like sluts. Nothing like slutty Dedham and Hyde Park chicks serving up wings. All-time slut. Or do you think they hung out at Hooters a lot or one of those type places? Do you think they're regulars over there? Or maybe there's a strip club that serves wings? I don't know. I'm sure those girls will be willing to talk at some point. All-time slut. Upgrade with blank, but blank and blank are a toss-up. And you blank are like the same person, except she's a little more of a slut. Blank is just mad that her entire existence has been used a moral gear. They weren't being racist. They just don't respect sluts. And 6 was a slut I could get down with. What's piece of shit this little C word is? Can you imagine how he spoke about Karen Reed? Megan can't even believe that people like this exist. I typically don't allow like this spam of religion in my chat, and I'm not going to allow it tonight. But somehow it seems like very like appropriate today. What do you think? I mean, I don't know. Lucy Ann says, let's not forget that Kevin, Albert, and Proctor were friends. This is all Sean Good. This is all good all the time. Good and plenty. This is good and plenty. This is the good, the bad, and the ugly. This is what it is. This is what it is. German Shepherd dogs moms. And then Mary Ottman speaks, says, never in my whole Gen X life did I think this could literally descend to another level of hell every time there's a FOIA drop. This isn't even a FOIA drop. This was released today by the town of Canton as the final investigative report into the Sean Good text messages that were discovered on Proctor's phone with recommendations about what Canton PD should do with him. I mean, he says, and 6 was a slut I could get down with. Was he? Tell me he's not talking about. No. Okay. I was thinking of something else. Oh, this was definitely about Karen Reed. Here you go. Jesus, every girl will want a brain tumor, multiple sclerosis, colitis, if you can look like that in yoga pants after killing your boyfriend. We know that was about Karen Reed. We know that was. We know that was because that came out before, and I forget where. Maybe it was in Karen Reed's. Maybe it was in Karen Reed's lawsuit. Oh, and that reminds me that Karen Reed's team does have this extraction of Proctor's. They don't have Goode's extraction, but if all of this stuff is in Proctor's phone extraction, they've got it. I wonder why they haven't sued him personally yet. Maybe they were waiting for this IA report to drop before doing it. It has to be, right? Because, they didn't want to get in trouble for putting these details in their complaint. Wow. Here you go. Thank you, Monique. I'm going to star that for later and bring that back. I'll circle back on that. Just had a woman this is again in Sean Good's words, just had a woman tell me that I caused her family so much pain and anguish for what I did to her son. She then walks away from me. Her husband comes over and tells me I was the one that found their son and his friends drinking in public in the McDonald's parking lot at 6 p.m. back in November. So apparently it's my fault your son and his friends are complete idiots and can't hide it. Also, I didn't do anything when I found them. All I did was have their parents, THERE, come and pick them up. Told them that the school resource officer will review the report and it's out of my hands. If I was caught back in high school, my father would have killed me and thanked the police. Fat C word. So he's calling the mom. Okay, cool. The last one was a real, oops, I don't know how that happened, a real C word. Did I tell you guys how blank came up to me at blank field day to small talk with her husband? And all of a sudden she says, "You must be working a lot of details." And I go, "Not really. Why?" She goes, "Oh, I saw your new truck." My response was, "Gotta go blank by effing C word." If parents weren't around, I would have said, "You could have that truck if your husband didn't snort and or gamble your inheritance away." I mean, now he's like also disparaging and hating on the parents at school at field day at your kids' school's field day. Wow, you're going to be the most hated parent at your school, at your kids' school. And again, I feel really sorry for your children because apparently you have them. If blank would let me see her cans and actually take a photo of them, I would send them. We are family here. Oh, I don't know if he's talking about his wife or he's talking about some other woman that he's banging. But he says if blank would let me see her cans and actually take a photo of them, I would send them. Well, let's use our context clues because it's a very small black redaction. This was redacted by the investigator. It looked like it's maybe only, I don't know, maybe 5 letters at the most. And he talks about his wife in other messages up here somewhere. Somebody will figure it out. It's his wife. Says Dr. Go Duke basketball. That's right. Imagine, ma'am, Mrs. Goode, he wanted to send naked photos of you around of your cans, but you wouldn't. Lucky for you, you didn't let him take any pictures of your cans. But if you did, your husband would have sent him to his buddies because we are family here. And yes, there's more. Sergeant Goode authored text messages containing sensitive police information to the acquaintance groups or admits to conduct that may be considered unbecoming of a police officer. The following messages were authored by Sergeant Goode. Okay, so these don't fall under any particular category other than conduct unbecoming. So it's not about people with special needs. It's not about women. It's not about Jews. It's not about Black people or Asians. Let's see what they consider to just be conduct unbecoming. I was on a detail till 2:30 and couldn't sleep through the heavy rain. I love rain when in bed, but not on my cruiser hood and roof. Way too loud. Yep, a couple years ago we had an amended robbery on 138 and the description came out. It was blank and we stopped them in Stoughton, but we didn't have any evidence, but it was them. I had blank in cuffs on the ground crying. We didn't have any evidence and we're still cuffing people, arresting them. How many innocent people have been prosecuted based on investigations or non-investigations or bullshit investigations that were done by Sean Goode? Sorry, that was upside down. Let's do it again. And they prosecuted, may I remind you that they prosecuted Rich Schiffer for rubber ducks and monopoly money outside D&E Pizza. And guys like Sean Goode are the ones that Chris Albert would call on speed dial whenever anything happened outside his pizzeria. Really? These are the guys out there serving and protecting? Don't you feel safe, Canton? Don't you feel safe? He's sleeping in his cruiser. He doesn't like the heavy rain. He's sleeping on detail. Are you outraged yet? All right, boys, I'm going to try and keep party boys informed of the Gong Show tonight. Getting deployed to Quincy at 4 p.m. to start. I know it's a Tuesday night, but tell your parents and wives don't go out shopping tonight to Westwood Station or Cobb's Corner. No intel, but it was crazy quiet last night in town, although he spells everything wrong. It says crazy quiet. But Braintree, Natick, and Rentham with MSP and other locals chased convoys of cars all night out of town. Then they arrived in Providence and they got bottlenecked in front of the Providence Place Mall, and the cops gassed the F out of them and arrested over 60 people. Over 60, it just says over 60. keeping the party boys updated. Party boys, sobriety checkpoint on 138 by the trail side tonight. Please stay away tonight. Can't help you if you get caught. Too many troopers and Milton PD. Oh, he's helping out the friends, helping them out. Did he help out Proctor when he was investigating Karen Reed? I need to know. Did he help out Kevin Albert's family? Was it when he was investigating what happened on his brother's lawn and inside his brother's house? Because who was it that went inside the house first? The only two that were allowed in was Lank and who? Was it Goode? Because remember, Alan Jackson said they were waiting for a friendly to show up before they let anybody in the house. Was it Lank and Goode? Oh, look at this. I think he should have to bribe us with gifts / beers. Oops. Right. Oh, so you take bribes too. Did he say anything yet about planting evidence? And then Sergeant Goode shares an RMV photo of a young man he pulled over, describes him as a tub of shit, explains why he couldn't give him a ticket because God already effed him for life, referring to the man's image. Oops. Says he was guilty of driving fat and ugly. Oh, well, I bet you anything he was a white guy. Sympathy for a white guy. Sergeant Goode runs license plates for blank of a girl that works at his job, or refers to as his 25-year-old smoke. Oh, now he's helping people stalk women? Wow. Sergeant Goode runs license plates for blank, states he is a nobody. And then he says, haha, can't wait to look this C word up tonight at work. Oh, so he is stalking people that he doesn't like or that other people don't like, or he's misuse of government record systems is the kindest thing that I can say about that, Zoe. Biatch 414 says, now I have absolutely no doubt that this whole shit show was set up from day one. I always knew Karen Reed was not guilty, but this just finishes it off. I wonder if they were talking about Dever. I wonder. Gina just says, arrest him. It's not just the MSP. It's a Canton PD too. What do you think he said to Kevin Albert? What do you think there's anything on his phone? He and Kevin Albert both work for Canton PD. Kevin Albert is the brother of Brian Albert and Chris Albert. How much more evidence do you need? How much more evidence do you need to think that these people wouldn't cover for each other and help each other? They're running plates on 25-year-old smokes to stalk women that they think are hot or to help their buddies do it. You think smashing a taillight and throwing a couple of pieces on a lawn with a sneaker and giving them a little scavenger hunt list and says, and leaving the crime scene unsecured for, 8 or 10 hours while 2 more feet of snow fell, you think that's beyond the pale? You think that's something these guys wouldn't do? There's no log of who was on the scene that night at 34 Fairview or the whole entire day while it was unsecured with crime scene tape because, it was windy. They didn't even have a cruiser parked out there to guard the crime scene. You know who never found one of those 47 pieces of taillight? Any of the people that lived at 34 Fairview. Nope. Just found by Proctor and Buchanan and others, Berkowitz, who had Coke bottle thick glasses, by the way, just happened to pass by one day and saw a piece of taillight in the weeks following the murder of John O'Keefe. Are you effing kidding me? Anybody who still believes that bullshit is like just, there's not even a word for that kind of moron. Nobody ever believed that this could have been a setup, that this could have been a frame job. And this, we thought Proctor's phone extraction was bad. This all came from Proctor's phone extraction, but this is also the internal affairs investigation into Sean Goode. And it's only the stuff that was found on Proctor's phone, and you can't make it work. It couldn't be worse, but I guess it can. Are you wondering why Brian Higgins and Brian Albert both destroyed their phones the day before The preservation order was to be heard. Where did the rock come from? Who destroys their phones? What do you think would have been on those phones? Didn't Brian Albert get a new phone number? Brian Higgins says, I don't know how I did it, but if I did it, or if I would have done it, I would have cracked my SIM card in half, but I'm not sure if I did it. But before I did that, I went to the FBI and used their equipment illegally because my buddy Matt Kelch taught me how to do it in the FBI kiosk in the lobby. And I cherry picked some of the messages, the text messages between me and Karen Reed and me and John O'Keefe. And then I just tried my phone. So here you go. Here you go. They never even considered Higgins a suspect, even though he was trying to bang John O'Keefe's girlfriend. And they never even asked for a download of his phone. They just took his word for it. Nothing to see here. But wait, there's more. Throughout April and May 2026, Town Council remained in contact with Counsel for Sergeant Goode to discuss the scope of the investigation, preliminarily review portions of the data in question, and ultimately coordinate an investigatory interview, which was scheduled for May 27th, 2027. Well, that's a typo because it should say 2026. Remember, he had to go through 200,000 messages. It took a while. And so the interview was scheduled for May 27th. And then you know what happened? On May 22nd, 5 days before the interview, Sergeant Goode was issued a notice to appear for the interview. And the letter advised Sergeant Goode of the following. I have set aside time to meet with you for an investigatory interview Wednesday, May 27th, 2026 at 9:30 a.m. via an in-person interview at the law office of Clifford and Kennedy in Pembroke, Mass. This interview shall be administrative in nature only. Its purpose will be to discover facts and offer you an opportunity to explain events and or conduct as it relates to the allegations presented to the town. As an employee of the town, you are required to cooperate with this investigation. On May 27th, 2026, Town Council was notified by Counsel for Sergeant Goode that he was refusing to appear for his scheduled investigatory interview. On May 29th, 2026, Sergeant Goode submitted his resignation to the town, effective June 2nd, 2026. The letter states the following. Dear Chief Daniels, please accept this letter as irrevocable notice of my resignation for the purpose of retirement, effective Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026. Very truly yours, Sergeant Sean Goode. Wait a second. Resignation for the purpose of retirement? He knew it was coming. He refused to give the interview. And instead of giving the interview, he sends out his resignation letter for the purpose of retirement. If this guy gets 1 penny from a pension, you guys in Massachusetts need to go berserk. You need to go berserk. Where's the mayor on this? I mean, who's your governor? Who's your governor? Healy? Where is she? She's a woman. What is she going to say anything about this? Resignation for the purpose of retirement? I don't remember reading that in his original resignation letter. But yeah, let's just let him go quietly. He knew exactly what was in that phone. He knew exactly what was in Proctor's phone. Conclusion. Based on the findings above, prior to Goode's resignation and scheduled Canton Police Department investigatory interview, this investigator finds that there is sufficient credible evidence that Goode, while serving as a Canton police officer, violated several Canton Police Department rules and regulations, policies, and procedures, including the following. Unlawful harassment discrimination policy. There is sufficient credible evidence that Sergeant Goode engaged in conduct in violation of the department's policy against unlawful discrimination and harassment. Sexual harassment policy offers the following as an example of conduct that constitutes sexual harassment. Sexual epithets, jokes, written or oral references to sexual conduct, gossip regarding one's sex life, comment on an individual's body, comment about an individual's sexual activity, deficiencies, or prowess. Unlawful harassment. Policy 4.17 offers the following as an example of conduct that constitutes sexual harassment. Slurs or other derogatory comments, objects, pictures, cartoons, or demeaning gestures connected to one's membership in a protected group. Further, the policy states the following about protective groups. Wait, when's the next Canton board meeting? Is it tomorrow? I can't wait to hear what Brenda Sweeney's going to have to say tomorrow. Is it every Tuesday or every other Tuesday? I don't know. In addition, all employees are protected from harassment on the basis of their race, color, religion, national origin, ancestry, sex, gender, identity, age, handicap, or disability, participation in discrimination, complaint-related activities, sexual orientation, genetics, or active military or veteran status. I'd like to know how many Black police officers are in Canton PD. I'm losing my voice. Hold, please. Many of you don't have nice things to say about Maura Healey. I don't know if they have summer board meetings. Many towns don't meet in July and August. I don't know. People in Canton would know. There's none. There are no Black police officers in Canton. Why am I not surprised? You know who is Black? The Attorney General, Andrea Campbell. Her brother, Alvin Campbell Jr., was just sentenced to life in prison for graping a whole bunch of women that he essayed and videotaped while doing it in his car and his house while posing as an Uber driver. We tried to cover his trial, but they pulled the cameras. Supervisor's responsibility. Policy 4.1. Oh, do you think this is why Helena Rafferty ran screaming away from there and retired also? She was the chief of police of Canton during the investigation of the murder of John O'Keefe, because Chief Berkowitz was on medical leave, even though he was heavily involved in whatever was going on in Sallyport, people think. The new chief is Black. The new chief of Canton is Black now. Oh, okay. This is going to be interesting. You think he's going to want to see everybody's phones? You think he's going to want to see every single employee's phones? Chief Daniels. Yes. Chief Helena Rafferty, who wrote, "No tampering, LOL." Emily C. says, nah, she knew everything. Leapfrogs Leap says, Perkins has assigned Helena Rafferty as a special deputy since she's left and she's never been sworn in. She's still on patrol. Everybody out there protecting their pensions. Let's just finish this because I'm really speechless and I'm really at a loss for words here. So these are the additional duties to supervisors, including sergeants. No supervisor in charge of a workplace shall permit any form of harassment, sexual harassment, or discrimination to be directed at any employee in the workplace by any vendor, customer, members, or the public, or any other person present in the workplace. Oops. Policy 4.28, professional conduct. There is sufficient credible evidence that Sergeant Goode engaged in conduct in violation of the department's policy 4.28 regarding conduct unbecoming an officer. That's putting it mildly. Professional conduct, Section B, privacy and off-duty conduct states in part, the department has a legitimate interest in preserving its public image of trust and respect. An employee's off-duty personal relationships should not be allowed to bring discredit to the employee or department, affect the employee's ability to perform their job, or result in poor job performance. Policy 4.28, professional conduct, Section C of conduct unbecoming an officer states in part, employees shall conduct themselves at all times, both on and off duty, in such a manner as to reflect most favorably on the department and its members. Conduct unbecoming shall include that which tends to indicate that the employee is unable or unfit to continue as a member of the department, or tends to impair the operation, morale, integrity, reputation, or effectiveness of the department or its member. Policy 4.28, professional conduct, Section S, insubordination, states in part, employees shall not be insubordinate. Insubordination shall include any failure or deliberate refusal to obey a lawful order written or oral, given by a superior officer, or as otherwise specified above. It shall also include any disrespectful, mutinous, insolent, or abusive language or action toward a superior, whether in or out of the presence of the superior. Policy 411, Code of Conduct. There is sufficient credible evidence that Sergeant Goode engaged in conduct in violation of the department's Code of Conduct policy, conduct unbecoming an officer, which states the omission of any required act or the commission of any specific act or acts of immoral, improper, disorderly, or intemperate personal conduct, or any action or inaction which reflects discredit upon the officer, him/herself, upon his/her fellow officers, upon the department, or upon the town. Policy 4.12, mobile access data. Oh, there is sufficient credible evidence that Sergeant Goode engaged in conduct in violation of the department's policy for mobile data access. Policy 412, mobile data terminals, states misuse of the LEAPS, LEAPS, NCIC computers may result in the Criminal History Systems Board disconnecting the department from the system. Unauthorized transactions and tampering with the hardware or software on this system is forbidden and will result in harsh disciplinary action. Oh, that has to do with him running the plates of hot chicks. I'm starting a lot of these comments for a minute from now when we're going to be done with this. Department rules and regulations material. There is sufficient criminal evidence, sufficient credible evidence. I said criminal, but it's probably that too. That Sergeant Goode engaged in conduct in violation of the department's rules and regs manuals as they relate to conduct on becoming an officer, insubordination, and dissemination official information. And here's another rule that he violated, apparently. Conduct on becoming states the commission of any specific act or acts of immoral, improper, disorderly, or intemperate personal conduct which reflects discredit upon the officer himself, upon his fellow officers, or upon the public, upon the police department, shall be considered conduct unbecoming and shall be subject to disciplinary action. And here's an insubordination, department rules and regs. Employees shall willfully observe and obey the lawful verbal and written rules, duties, policies, and procedures and practices of the department. Insubordination occurs when a member is capable of performing but refuses to do a job or comply with a lawful verbal or written directive. Sergeant Goode was noticed to attend a required investigatory interview and failed to attend same. This constitutes a separate charge of insubordination unrelated to the text messages reviewed. Additionally, where Sergeant Goode failed to answer questions regarding the allegations against him, the town may draw a negative inference with respect to the allegations related to the contents of his text messages and group chats. Here's another rule that he violated: dissemination of official information. States in part, information regarding official business shall be disseminated only to those for whom it is intended in accordance with established departmental procedures. Recommendations. While the several serious rules and policy violations found here would generally lead to a recommendation of discipline up to and including termination, Sergeant Goode resigned from employment with the town on June 2nd, 2026. As such, no further action is required beyond this disposition being reported to the Peace Officers Safety and Training Commission. XOXO. Michael J. Myers, investigator, MJ Myers Consulting, dated today, June 29th, 2026. My head is, I don't even know where my head is at this point. It has popped off. It is so far away that I don't even know if I'll ever be able to collect it. Talk to me. Talk to me. Boston AG says by retiring, he keeps his health insurance. I want to tell you that I read the title of this and I read the last paragraph before I started the stream. That's all I knew. And that's all I knew was the last paragraph. That, yeah, we would have fired him, or I would have recommended firing him, but it's too late because he already resigned. He resigned. How is it right that he wasn't fired before he should, because the investigation wasn't done? The investigation was just finished today. Today was when the report was issued, today. But they've known about all of this. But, you know, they have to jump through administrative hoops and all that kind of bullshit. And so I guess that's what they did. Cat Q says, how did he get paid leave for an investigation after they saw those texts? Disgusting. Administrative hoops. The police have a stronger union maybe than the teachers. The teachers and the police have the strongest unions known to man. And it's very hard to get the union to drop you. But Michael Proctor is an overachiever, and they did drop him when his messages came out. I don't know if Goode ever had a union attorney appointed for him or if he did for these proceedings. But the Post Commission also issued an order about Goode, and I think it's buried in my email somewhere because I know somebody sent it to me. I just don't know where it is right now. But I think that quite recently, hold on, wait a second. Is this it? The Post Commission, I think, said he can never work again as a police officer, right? But we didn't cover it yet because this didn't drop yet. Thank you, Cat Q, for tuning in from Canada. Sue says, I didn't know people like this existed. I've heard rumors, but I just thought they were made up people. Thank you. Kelly says, so Goode recorded himself using homophobic language on an rear wait. I thought Canton PD didn't have video and voice recorders. No, it was like a phone message, like a phone voice recording. Like he was sending a voice memo to people instead of, texting, because who knows, maybe he was driving or something. Steph said, I really hope that House defendants, MSP, Canton PD, and all DA all go to prison for a long, long time for every case and murder they cause. This is also very sad. Yeah. How many people are shitting a brick right now thinking that what could be in Goode's phone? Like, I don't know, Kevin Albert, Brian Albert. If you don't think they're going to get Goode's phone, I think you might be wrong, because they're going to have to get to the bottom of the corruption and other people that he's been talking to, maybe in his department, including those people. And isn't it going to be ironic, don't you think, that Sean Goode, Proctor and Goode are the ones who are going to take down the entire state police, Canton police, and all of the players who may or may not be involved in the murder of John O'Keefe and or the cover-up of same? Stupid, stupid, stupid. They're thinking. Thank you, Steph, for your super chat. Deshai says, Lisa Goode and Liz Proctor being wives of these pigs and the way they talk about women and other races, this is disgusting. Keep exposing all the racists. I'm so repulsed by this. They proctored and gambled. Yeah. Proctored and Goode. Goode and Proctor. The idiot twins. What do we even call them at this point? I need a title for this stream because I got to go back and change it. And I got to change the thumbnail because we're not getting to Tully today. I'm sorry. We're going to have to do Tully tomorrow. Steph said, I have a brother with special needs as well. I have a brother with special needs as well as myself, having two very, very pathetic human beings for making fun of special needs people. Yeah. Thank you for your super chat. Put your titles for this stream in the chat. I'll come back and look at them later. Let's do it for the girl says, it makes me so fearful for my 6-year-old nonverbal autistic grandson. I feel physically sick. Emily, I want to know how Emily C is feeling. She lives in Norfolk County. A hot mess says, since it was ordered for the federal docs to be destroyed, were they? No, I don't believe they were. No. Can the Haas defendants obtain then PUs? Thanks, Melanie. Glad you're back. Haas defendants. I don't think the Haas defendants want anything to do with the federal documents. They don't want anything to do with that stuff. That stuff only implicates them, in my opinion. But, civil court is very, very generous with its discovery rules. And so it's much easier to get stuff in civil court than it is in criminal court. And Wow. Judge Gildea might get an earful on Wednesday, and all these attorneys have to come into court to explain who leaked Proctor's shit, because Goode's shit is out now, and it wasn't leaked illegally. This was like released by the town of Canton, right? Title, Goode turns out to be no good. Thanks, Chubby. Okay. Monique Unfiltered says that these are the messages regarding the Karen Reed investigation the I-team has learned from CBS News. This was in 2025. Detective Lieutenant Brian Tully, one of Michael Proctor's supervisors, will lose 6 days of accrued time for failing to supervise Proctor and others who were involved with inappropriate text messages. Remember that? Brian Tully got 6 days of accrued vacation. How many hundreds of days do you think he's got banked? Now he's retired. Everyone retired and or resigned and or jumped ship. Think about it. Charles Argo can see it from South Africa. He says, this animal was being paid while this evidence was being found. I thought Massachusetts was a liberal state in the US. Yeah, it's just the police union is very, very strong procedure. Darlene says, $20 just when I thought it couldn't get any worse. It's insane. My head popped off and is rolling with you to New Hampshire. Darlene, thank you for gifting 5 memberships and for all your super chats. You've been very generous today, and I appreciate you so much. Your dad's favorite mom said Stefan Diggs' lawyer was a Haas defendant lawyer at the hearing before trial 1 when they tried to get everyone's phones. I don't know why it's escaping me who defended Stefan Diggs in the assault trial that we watched together. DK said, this gives me a little more understanding about the rock and hard spot that Kelly Dever was in. She had to play their game and change her story to survive. That's a great point, D. That's a great point. How do you think she was treated as a female Canton PD officer? How do you think she was treated? Worse or better than Kelsey Fitzsimmons at North Andover PD? She probably had to get the hell out of there. She asked for a transfer to Boston PD, and then she gets called down by Michael Cox, the police commissioner of Boston PD, who tells her to do the right thing. And Scott says, exactly. I've been saying that for months. It's not too late, Kelly Dever. You can come clean now. They screwed you. They screwed you. They used you. They threw you in the trash. They've ruined your life, and you probably have a really good lawsuit too. Terry says, FYI, no MSP training until further notice. Academy is closed. Yeah, I covered that recently. I saw that. Until further soft date for October in New Braintree. Yes, that happened like, I want to say within the past few weeks. It's not like breaking today, but yes, you are correct. They have closed that New Braintree training center where Enrique Delgado Garcia was killed during his training at the Academy. Jenny Joe says, Healy is a criminal. Jerry Joe, I'm sorry. She supports all of them. Thank you, Jerry. Jeannie Dreamer says, mental health facility and living cis Lizzie leak. I don't know. Don't know, Jeannie. Guess the Judge Gildea is going to find out on Wednesday. We're here for it. I wonder if he'll let a camera in. Wonder if anybody will cover it live, because the Zoom won't be on because everyone's got to show up in person. I bid him. Chloe Albert says, thank you, Jackson. Unleashed. Pat Ray said earlier, what concerns me is that they're isolating Goode. There's no way that investigating Goode wouldn't end up implicating other Canton PD officers too, in my opinion. I agree with you 100%, and I don't think it can stop there. I don't think it can stop there. And Paula, thank you for your Venmo, says, do you think it's possible that, hold on. Okay, come on, man. Do you think it's possible the Proctor stuff was leaked to distract from the Goode bombshell dropping today? I love what you do for us, cupcakes. Thank you so much. And yes, I do. But who knew? Who knew that this was coming out today? Who knew? Who over at Canton PD knew? I mean, he's been working, Mike Myers has been working on this since October of 2025. or December. I'm not sure. I forget now. It was 17 pages long. I read the whole entire thing. It's cold. And I'm still in shock and horror about those messages. And I still want to know who else. Who else? Do you think it's going to stop there? How can it? People of Canton, it is your time to speak up. Steph says, I do love watching your channel, Mel. You're an amazing woman. Oh, you're a sweetheart. Thank you. Virtual Juror says, May 27th, counsel. Goode is refusing to show. May 29th, Goode submits resignation papers. June 2nd, Goode allowed to resign. This timeline is disgusting. Yeah. And then add to that timeline, June 29th, 2026, 17-page, single-spaced report is issued, including 4 pages, at least 4 pages. Wait, how many? Of horrific messages of Sean Goode. Wait, let's see. The Party Boys thread. All right, so we got 1 whole page, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 pages of the 17 were quotes from exact text messages found on Michael Proctor's phone that were authored by Sean Goode, and 3 voice memos. So that would be a 10th page. It's all in there. And all the stuff, so much of Proctor's stuff is under protective order. We can't get it. This guy, Mike Myers, thank him when the chips start to fall. And they will, in my opinion. They will 100% start to fall. Chris says, thanks for your memo. Subtle innuendos follow. Must be something inside. Goody. 2 Shoes by Adam Ant. I think in song lyrics too. You know I do. I have no words, so I need you guys to provide me with some words. Betsy says, I have a nonverbal niece, and this makes me sick. Thank you, XOXO. Arlene says, what else could be so bad? Lock them up. Thank you for being here for 28 months. Friend of a Dog gifted 10 memberships. You are so sweet and kind and generous and such an amazing contributor to this channel, and I love you so much. And I just want to tell you, I got an email from YouTube today that they are going to be jacking up the outside the US member pricing because of the exchange rates. So if you are out of the country or even not out of the country, they're going to be jacking up all of the membership rates. My lowest membership tier right now is $2.99 a month. For that, you get a cupcake next to your name, all special emojis and all that stuff. It's a good way to support the channel, but do it from your computer, not your phone, because they take a VIG on the Apple Store. But if you are grandfathered in and you're international, they will not raise your rates. You'll be grandfathered in. I thought I owed you the duty of telling you that. Not that I'm soliciting you for membership, because I'm not. I just want you to let you know that so that you don't get shocked when they jack it up in the future, which is going to be, I think, in August. Mama says, Gildea requested Reed's team to report buoyed by the treatment of other subpoenaed witnesses are getting. By today, Gildea realized he's been had by Colin Albert and Michael Proctor. He's going to set down some rules, in my opinion. We covered that at the beginning of the stream, but that's not the way I took it. They were supposed to, they were supposed to report by today. But they wanted Karen Reed's team to give him some factual assertions of that. And I don't know if that's been filed yet, because I haven't even had a chance to check my email at all yet. But that's interesting. Mimi Quill says, nicely done on the timing. Ugh, thank you for being here for 10 months. Fantastic Fistfish says, the Proctor private stuff was first reported on Aiden's June 6th live show. 1 hour, 55-minute mark, 2 days before the June 8th Proctor filing. Now Proctor's lawyers are blaming Reed's attorneys. Okay. 6/6 live show before the conference. All right. I will go back and look for that later, as I'm sure many of you will fall into the rabbit hole. 1 hour, 55 minutes. So if it was before the filing, then the filing couldn't have leaked. The filing couldn't have been leaked, right? Georgia's Grave Concern gifted 5 memberships. You know why? Because she's amazing. She's amazing. Liza Jane, thank you for the matcha latte. I'm going to need it. Says, thanks for all you do. You're amazing. Jules, thank you for buying 3 matcha lattes. Thanks for all you do. I hope it's enough for a bottle of wine. Thank you, Jules. I appreciate you so much. Oh my God. So many of you sent me this document and I can't explain it to you. There's so much hate in these messages and in the world and in the Canton PD and in the Massachusetts State Police that my heart goes out to every single one of you who lives there. And I am just revolted. I am revolted. My heart hurts. My heart hurts. These are not the men that are supposed to be out there protecting and serving communities. How could they possibly investigate anyone other than a white man, except for Aiden Carney, because they hate him too, in any unbiased way? Leapfrog League said this is far more detailed than anyone else released, and technically it's all Proctor though, because it was in Proctor's phone. But yeah, no, it's all authored by Goode. It's still Proctor's info, right? You're correct. Sherilyn, thank you so much. She says that I make her a better person. You're very sweet. Don't be silly. It's not expected at all. Your presence is my present. Hitting the like button is my present. Proctor and Goode can't apologize for this behavior. It's too gross. This is jamming along. And this is what I'm thinking too. Joy Tittle says, one phone will lead to another phone. First, Proctor and Goode's phone will be entered into evidence. Yes. Yes, it has to. How could it not? How could it not? Goode resigned. But it has to, in my opinion. Couple things. Defense Dyers did an interview with Sean Ellis earlier today. Check it out. Aiden Carney said he was doing 2 interviews tonight. I don't remember who they were with. Check them out if you're into that and you want to watch them. Maybe you guys know where they are, so I can tell you guys where to go if you want to watch them. I think one just started at 7 and another one is a little bit later tonight. What about Buchanan? Right. What about Buchanan? What about the rest of the Canton PD? I have so many questions. Goode's phone is long gone by now. Well, they got Proctor's iCloud. Just Rhonda says, no apology can be accepted. This is who they are their entire lives. I don't believe individuals like this can change their lived behaviors. How do they not drop the charges against Aiden Carney? How do they not? Because Canton PD, was Canton PD involved in any of the investigation into Aiden Carney's witness intimidation claims? Because now I'm getting everything in my head. My head is spinning right now. It's popped off. It's in New Hampshire. Wendy Taylor says it's disgusting as all this is. It is fun. Sitting back and watching them crash out one by one. Yes. Stream name. Chip was not so bad as Goode. Oh, I'm going to play with that. Chip was not as bad as Goode. I'm going to play with that. Megan Fox and Cyber Chick. Megan Fox, I think, is later on. Rats jumping from a sinking ship. Kelly's found my head. It's in Millbury, Mass. From badge to bigot. From badge to bigot, says virtual juror. Anybody else in these group chats needs to be looked into. Right. One of them had 10 people. One of them had just Proctor and Goode. And one of them had 10 people. I wonder if any of those others were Canton PD or MSP. And also, how do Goode and Proctor know each other? Are they did they grow up together? Did they both grow up in Canton together? Have they been friends since elementary school? Because these text threads go back to many years, right? Sean's terrible, awful, no good, very bad day. That's a good one. I like that, Carrie B. Terrible, horrible, no good, very good, bad day. Here's what we're going to do. As good as it gets. As good as it gets. This is tomorrow. Tomorrow we're gonna do Tully. We're gonna do Tully tomorrow. I'm gonna say we're gonna start Tully tomorrow at 11 a.m. so we can sleep in a little tiny bit. I don't think there's any live hearings for us to cover tomorrow. So let's come back tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. and we're gonna go all Tully all the time, unless 10 million other things pop off. We didn't even get to Meredith O'Neill's wiretapping charges, but she's been charged with felony wiretapping for recording Aiden Carney. So we can look at that tomorrow too. Goode and Proctor both grew up in Canton. And the investigation into Meredith O'Neill, this stems from a report of Aiden Carney going all the way back to, hold on, like December of 2025. She's being charged by Leominster District Court. Leominster District Court. Up to no good. Felony wiretapping charges for allegedly, maybe, according to this complaint, which I'll read to you tomorrow. She may have changed her location to say that she was in Rhode Island when she was recording him, because Rhode Island is a one-party consent state. Opposite day, good as bad. Thank you, Jody. I appreciate you so much. Says I'm appreciated for breaking all the papers down. I love you with all of my heart. All right, tomorrow. That's our agenda. Tully. Felony charges for Meredith O'Neill, the former girlfriend of Aiden Carney, for wiretapping in Leominster. And who knows what else is going to pop off. It has been reported by some people that Nan Gallagher is representing Jennifer Altman and Meredith O'Neill in some sort of legal proceedings against Sparkly Rabbit. Somebody told me that she's said that on her YouTube presentation. And that there are some other local people or people on the internet who have received cease and desist letters from Nan Gallagher to stop talking about her, Nan Gallagher. So yeah, right. That's out there. Yes, you guys sent that to me. Interesting, except the attorney that Meredith O'Neill has representing her in this Leominster felony wiretapping case is not Nan Gallagher. So I don't know. Did she get admitted in Massachusetts? Remember, she was talking about getting admitted in Massachusetts? Because as far as I know, I mean, I don't know where Jennifer Altman lives. I thought it was in Massachusetts, and I thought Meredith also lives in Massachusetts. So maybe Nan did get her admitted in Massachusetts, and that's why she's representing them. But I thought that other case was in New Hampshire. I don't really know. You guys can look into that, and then you can get back to me and let me know. It's crazy. It's a crazy, it's a mad world. I'm here. I've been here twice today, and this was so much longer than I thought it was going to be, but I just can't stop talking. Thank you, moderators. I love you with all my heart. I could never do this without you. Please, everyone, for the love of the traveling Mary, tiny Jesus, all that is holy, rubber duck, Lady Diana, our new classy rubber duck that I just obtained across the pond in Leicester Square, London, England. Smash the like button. Hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. Comment after the stream is over. Hype the stream if you can. Share the stream out. The world needs to know about this. The world needs to know about this because everyone who thought that this was a conspiracy, that Karen Reed promoted a false narrative that John O'Keefe was not hit by a car and a car did not hit John O'Keefe, that she's a liar, she wasn't framed, it's all a grand conspiracy, should now shut the F up because the house of cards is falling. It's crumbling down. When the walls come crumbling down, they're crumbling. We knew this was going to happen, and it's happening. It's happening. Who's going to stand with Goode now? Who's going to stand with Proctor now? Nobody knew how bad it was. Nobody knew how bad it was. It's bad. It's worse. It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse before it gets better. I love you all. Stay cool, stay kind, stay classy. Don't believe everything you read on the internet, and don't let people gaslight you. because we've known the truth all along, and the truth will set you free. And here's your badass affirmation for the day. One more time. I am an effing masterpiece. Yes, you are. Love you, love you, love you so much. And hold on one second, because I'm going to have a good outro for you. Hold on. Let's get it. Let's get it. Toy over there. Rat House Media made this outro for me. Hold on. Wait. It's the SS Cupcake, because, you know, Nan was out there telling everyone that I have a yacht. So this is a yacht. I do not currently own a yacht or a boat of any kind. I never owned a yacht. Here it is. Here's the SS Yacht Club. The SS Cupcake, brought to you by Toy, who has changed her channel name too. Hold on. So we can properly promote her. Toy, TOI Box Media. Thank you, Toy, for making this. And also check out all the super cool Easter eggs in this one, including the Grateful Dead references and everything else. There it is. Love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow, 11 a.m. Be there, be square, hype, share, love, comment, subscribe. Peace out.
Ahoy! Welcome to the SS Cupcake Yacht Club. All aboard! SS Cupcake, steady vibes on love already. Floating on this don't see so sweet. Smooth and clean, I don't know what I mean. We're cruising. Gotta try. Yeah. Say it loud, make it chatty, yeah. Galley crew, we I love you. Today saying, oh no, yeah. No. Overruled. Keep it moving. If not, there's a special spot for you. Block Island. Already got a speedy ride for you on the SS ship of fools. Bye-bye. Yada, 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 yada.